Through the trees shine rays of light, without a single care. The world is our canvas, we paint with our dreams, whispering secrets to the rivers and the streams. We chase butterflies while flying our kites, memories that forever shine so bright. the sand. Together we'll find a peaceful place to call our own. And as we journey down the hill together, never be alone. Leaving footprints on the sand, while hand in hand, find a place together we can call our home. And when the day grows cold, and then the sun sets low, we wrap ourselves in warmth. If we're together, yes, together we will conquer any storm. Down the hill, a sky so blue, with hope in our hearts. Memories that shine so bright, chasing butterflies. That is where we flew our kites, with hope in our hearts. Memories that will forever shine so bright. We chased butterflies, with hope in our hearts, under a sky so blue, walking hand in hand. And when the days grow cold, our love together glows. We'll conquer any storm. Our heart's the compass that together will lead us to our home. Our heart's the compass that together will lead us to our home.
Okay, and welcome everyone. Welcome to our Friday night show. I am so glad to see you. It is a somewhat different Friday night show tonight. It's still a party, but in the first half of our show, we're going to have the amazing Mr. Joe Swisher, a guest of mine who some of you have seen before, and he may be new to some of you. Nevertheless, I think you guys will be very fascinated and interested in the story he's going to tell tonight. So I'll be introducing him to you guys, and then we'll also have another special guest who will join us later in the show. And I've been getting the resources uploaded. I'm sorry, I apologize. I was 30 minutes behind today, but there's lots of material to upload here, so I'm working on that, and actually still waiting on some of it to load. Nevertheless, welcome to the show. It's Friday, September 27th. I'm really glad to see you all here. If you're in the Lurker crew just watching, please go ahead and join the chat. It's really friendly in the chat. Everyone will be glad to converse with you in the chat. I'll ask my mods tonight to please be a little patient. Don't be so quick to kick people out of here. I know I'm waiting to see if Cromley will join us. He might have been booted by someone, but I don't want Cromley booted, or really anyone else, unless there being an absolute problem. So please try to be patient. Remember, it's Friday. Have a nice time with the fellowship, with the chat. And anyway, that's enough of the housekeeping. If you're on the replay, and I hope to see many of you in the replay, remember and always keep in mind that you can leave a comment down in the comment section, because although you may have missed the live stream of this event, these will stay up, and you can certainly participate in the comment section and continue the conversation. Give us your input. I always enjoy seeing the commentary on into the months ahead. So, as I mentioned, today is Friday, September 27th, and I was so glad to see everyone on the last show we did a couple days ago. A lot of good feedback from that show, and I anticipate we'll have a lot from this show. So yeah, thank you guys for all of that. Let's see if this file comes up so I can welcome in our guests. No, it's still delaying, so we're having issues here, but that's what's going on. Before we get started, let me welcome everyone in the chat, as I usually do. Is a God thing. Welcome to you. Glad to see you here. Westy, Deborah, Noe Amos, Carol, welcome, Carol. Tammy Martin, welcome. Kayla, welcome, Kayla. Bobby Smith, welcome on in. Amy, welcome in, Amy. Good to see you here. Bonnie, good to see you, Bonnie. Crystal Blue Persuasion, welcome to you. Says hi, Prof. Mods in chat. Welcome in, Crystal. Granny D, good to see you, Granny. Thanks for coming back. Gina Bodette, the amazing Gina Bodette says, as we get closer to trial, the reality of why we're all here is hitting me. Sadness for the loss of Libby and Abby. Yes, yes, of course. It's why we're here. And we'll be talking about them tonight. Carol, welcome in. Zero Cool, welcome in. Good evening to you, sir. Linda K. Johnson, hello in New Zealand. Dick Redshirt, welcome to you. Four Pits Across America, welcome to you. Thanks for being here again. I really appreciate that, Four Pits. Tracy Fleetwood, welcome in, and thank you for being here. All right, Sunflower Soul 615, thanks for being here. Judy Hathaway, hey, long time no see, Judy. Good to see you, Judy. Welcome in. And Miss Haunted Parlor, good to see you too. Been enjoying seeing you in the chat lately. And ACV, there he is. Welcome, Mr. ACV. Good to see you here, and I hope you enjoy tonight's show. It's a fascinating perspective that we'll be getting from Mr. Joe. So anyway, as I wait for this to load, it seems not to be loading expeditiously enough, so I may delay it. Okay, we'll say let's forego that, and let's welcome our guest on. Everyone, please welcome Mr. Joe, retired former Indiana Master Trooper, Mr. Joe Swisher, and let's welcome him on into the show. Okay, let me pull him on up.
Hey, it's me.
Oh, hello, Joe. How are you doing?
It's good to see you, Prof.
Hey, good to see you again. Look at you. Smile on your face. Are you having a good day?
It's always a good day. It's always a good day. We're getting hit by that hurricane right now. That
True.
little remnants of the Hurricane Helene, I think it is.
Oh, you mean it's made it up to Indiana now?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, just the outer bands, but just a little wind and rain. But I have a coffee. I have a K cup, and I have my cat. What else do I need?
Well,
So that's where I'm at.
You're prepared. Usually I'm all caffeinated to the extreme, but tonight I just chose the water, so
Water.
a little unusual, but
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to be here, Prof, and thanks for the invite. Appreciate it. It's good to see all the interest still in the Delphi case.
I tell you, thank you for coming. In all sincerity, Joe, I got to tell you, the interest has just been escalating beyond all expectations, and you know it's fitting because this is such a mesmerizing. It's it's engrossing. I think it's captured the attention of the world, really, and I know it's captured a lot of our hearts. So you, Noe, and I are really. We're sort of like peas in a pod in our heart center for this case and these girls, and so we almost immediately kind of bonded. But
I never would have imagined that we would still be talking about it like this many years later. that
Right.
it's still kind of unresolved
Yeah.
this long
Yeah.
in such a small little community and stuff like that. I find it hard to believe that we're still at this point.
I agree. And what I anticipate is that we'll be talking about it 7 years into the future, I'm sure.
Boy. Oh,
Um,
pardon me. But yeah, that was it's I'm really big, as you know, into the paranormal, and so that was my the Delphi case was my first foray into um, the paranormal, so to speak. Um, and I've just kind of little and grown more interested in it, and studied a little bit more history associated with the area where I live and stuff like that. And it's a very interesting history, and it's like a point now where. Like the last, I go to cemeteries, like the really, really old cemeteries, like from the early 1800s, and it's getting to the point now where um, it's like as soon as I get in there, they acknowledge me and they say, "Oh, the necromancer's here." So
oh,
yeah, so it's pretty cool. And the last time I was at a cemetery, they were like, I was getting in, going towards my truck, and they were saying, whoever I was in contact with, it was a member of a certain family um, that died in a plane crash, and they said, "Don't. Do you have to go so soon?" And I'm like, so I don't. I'm not. It's just really neat how um, you can kind of they know about you. I don't know how it works, but they know about you. But yeah, so the Delphi case was really interesting for me as a trooper. Um, like I said, I didn't work the case, but it was really a really interesting story, um, that you were the only one out here in the YouTube world that really seemed to really give it any attention, to give it any time, to really look at it as being something important. And if you hear background noise, it's just for some reason the windows, you get a lot of street noise sometimes in here. So
yeah, it's not a
I
bother at all.
apologize. I apologize, but thank you for the continuing interest and not letting it just go and fall by the wayside. So I'm really happy about that.
Well, thank you. You don't have to thank me, but I know it's just been an incredible amount of work, and I've never seen anything other than physics with so much information. I mean,
Hmm.
it's there's a mountain of information, and it's so much to process.
Hmm. There's a lot of stuff, and I just can't believe that I don't know where it jumped off the tracks. I don't know where the investigation kind of went astray. I don't know where it was like it was really hot for a while, the investigation and doing the crime scene and stuff like that, and then it just kind of I don't know. We were following up on a lot of leads because people were calling in the tip line, the FBI tip line. So I would go out with a detective and help follow up on some of those leads and stuff like that. But after that, it kind of just I don't know. We just kind of just our involvement as a state police agency kind of, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody, but it seemed to just kind of fizzle out. And I don't know what happened at that point.
That's interesting. And you were still working, so you would have been called on to assist had it been going as hard as it was.
Yeah, I might have. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were using a lot of resources for that, and I might have been involved. I might not have been. Depends on how many people they needed. It was kept very close to the vest. It was very kept very even amongst the state police officers and stuff like that. They didn't really share a whole lot of information, even with the rank and file troopers and stuff.
Right. So you had to do work, but you weren't privy to the feedback. much.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had no idea. I don't, I held two top secret clearances, one with the Department of Defense and one with the Department of Justice. So I think I could have been trusted with some information. I don't.
Oh wow. What sort of I mean, if you can talk about what sort of reason did you have those
Mhm.
clearances? What sort of things
Well,
are you doing that?
when I was up in, I started up by Gary as a state trooper, and I had the opportunity to work undercover with the FBI out of their Maryville field office. And it was on a police and political corruption task force. And so, as a part of that, in order to have access to the computers in the FBI building and the files and stuff like that, you have to have a top secret clearance or you can't go in.
Okay,
It's
interesting.
just too much sensitive. So they did the regular top secret for the Department of Justice. It's basically the same one as the Department of Defense, but like any government agencies, they don't talk to each other. They don't share. It's like once you had one, you think they could share the information or something for the other agency. But so then the Department of Defense, because I was in the Air Force and stuff, a lot of the missions that we supported, we had to have a top secret clearance for. And it was so the one, it's like every 5 years and stuff like that. You have to get it renewed. But yeah, so I think I could have been trusted with some information. And it was just like, we're really, um, I don't know, very quiet. Here comes a train. You want me to mute my.
Oh no, 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 please. I want to keep picking your brain. So let me ask you this. Were you um
Hang hang on.
okay,
Okay. The
okay.
horn's gone.
Were you around were you around when they raided the Keegan Klein home in Peru?
No. Well, I I can't remember. I might have been. Well, I retired in 2020. So if it happened after 2020, I wasn't with the state anymore.
Oh, let me think. When was that? That was
I remember it taking place, but um, it just seemed like there was going into a lot of different directions. Um, and I still feel really strongly about what I was shown, so to speak, that day I went out there.
oh yeah, yeah. Oh, you know what? Actually, I think that was kind of like towards
Mm,
that was in 2017 actually. That one.
The, the when they went to the
But I
Keegan.
assume you weren't involved if you don't really know much
No,
about it. Yeah.
no, I wasn't.
So
And
yeah, I'm really interested because I think a majority of our viewers have probably never heard your story of your visit in March of 2017 to the area
Mhm.
and you know that's part of why I wanted to have you on was to expose all the new listeners to that
Uh-huh.
amazing story because it's just an how what's the right word wow it's just intriguing. I mean
Intriguing, and it's enticing, and it's to me it's obvious. It's like it couldn't get more obvious. It's like um, I don't know. Unless you hit me over the head with a bat, you couldn't get more obvious than what it was. So, did you want me to talk about it just a
yeah,
little bit?
please tell the story.
All right.
So let me set the stage here.
Mm-hmm.
You at this point in your career in 2017, you were pretty much you were a master trooper for
Mm-hmm.
Indiana State Police, almost or just about 20 years in at that point, you would say?
17 would have been 22 years.
22 years in,
Mhm.
okay. And and you decided in March of 2017 to go and check it out for yourself and kind of put your feet on the ground and get a feel for it.
Mm-hmm.
because you were concerned about it, and it was I guess it was the biggest thing at the time. So yeah. So for what I understand is one day you you put on your uniform and
Hmm.
got in your marked vehicle and you
Hmm.
drove yourself to the trails in Delphi. So I'll let you go from
Yeah,
there.
I was. It's about halfway between Logansport and Lafayette, where Delphi is, and they built a new stretch of highway between. It's like 4 lane. It was 2 lane, real curvy. Now it's 4 lane. It's a straight shot to Lafayette, and I'd driven past it, but I'd never been to. I had no idea. I've never seen the bridge before that they're talking about, the high bridge. Never went back there after the murders, after the girls were found. And so one day coming back from Lafayette, I decided, well, it was a month to the day, I think, that I decided I was coming back from somewhere. And I thought, well, it should be all quiet there. They're not doing anything at the scene anymore. So I thought, well, I'll stop by if nobody's there or whatever and see. So I got off the highway and went around the little curvy, windy road that takes you back there. It's really isolated, and um, you can't see the bridge from the road. It's all wooded, and they're just like a little bitty little pull-in area, like where maybe you could maybe fit 2 cars side by side, and that's where the 2 girls were dropped off. Just that little tiny parking area. Um, but it was kind of fenced off because of the investigation, because of what happened there, because it was a crime scene. So I parked my state police vehicle in front of in that little rocky gravel area, and parked there and went back down the path. I had no idea where I was going. And there's a path that leads straight back from that parking area. It was kind of an unofficial parking area, I believe, because I think it's privately owned, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not like it's a parks department parking area. It was just a gravel area where people would just drop somebody off. They didn't really stay there. So when I got there, there was nobody there at the drop off. So I walked back there. I walked all the way back there. I had no idea where they found the girls. I've never been back there. And on the way back, on the way there, I noticed, the little trinkets, things that people had placed at certain points in honor, in memory of the little girls. And when on the way back, I was asking them. I started to talk to the girls um, because I'd had that experience before of talking and asking for things, and sometimes if you ask for things, they'll give them to you. So I talked to the girls in my head. I'd like, show me something, give me a sign, um, help us find the people that did this. I was just basically talking like, seeing if I could hear something on the way back, or maybe they would show something. Because I'd been to scenes before. One was a trooper, fellow trooper that was killed in a car crash, and I went back the next day, and I firmly believe that when there's a tragic death like that, a sudden death, a horrible death like that, that the energy it stays in the area.
I
It
agree too. I do.
it lingers. It lingers. It's really strong. It's really palpable, and it's like I can tune into that. I can almost see what happened sometimes. And this trooper that died in the car crash, it was all cleaned up the next day. It was really quiet. So I like to go there when nobody else is there, because it kind of it doesn't interrupt with that energy. And so I walked back. I was walking that crash scene where the trooper was killed, and I saw something glint, like a little flash of something in the ground. And so I walked over to where this little light or little flash was, and I saw something shiny in the ground. So I started digging with my finger in the dirt, or it was snow at the time, and it was a pair of handcuffs. I pulled it up, and it was one of his handcuffs that was left behind. And I ended up giving the pair of handcuffs because they weren't state owned handcuffs. It was a pair of his personal handcuffs. And I took those to his parents and gave that set back to his parents to have and stuff. So you never, it's stuff like that that you don't know. I go in with an open mind. I go into something with an open spirit to whatever it is, whatever I whatever you're going to show me, there's something, there's some reason, there's something there. There's something always, there's always, I believe there's always something that's left behind. And for some reason, maybe he wanted me to get those handcuffs and return them to his parents. Maybe his parents got him those handcuffs. I don't know. But so that's the kind of thing that, like, that energy, I could still feel that palpable energy there, even months to the day. That's not a lot of time that's passed since something like that happened. Um, so, um, so on the way back, I was looking for something. And are you still there?
Yeah, sorry, I had to cough.
Well, no worries. I
Uh,
was like, oh,
so,
my,
so let me catch up with you. So you
sure.
had gone onto the bridge and into the woods
Mhm.
area, and then you
There
turned
was.
around, and as you're leaving,
Mhm.
is
I'm
this where
looking
you
for
are?
stuff.
Yeah.
I'm looking for stuff. This is when I'm asking the girls, show me something. There's nobody around there to look at me like I'm weird or something, you know. I don't have to worry about people staring at me because I'm saying stuff or whatever. But I do. I was like, show me something. And I think if you really believe, you'll see something. But nothing. There was nothing. Didn't see nothing. There's nothing on the ground. Nope, nothing. I got nothing out of that. So I was like, okay, well, I get back in my vehicle, my state police vehicle, and I'm I like right across from where I parked my car is a house. It's a brick house, 2-story brick farmhouse looking thing with some outbuildings, big outbuildings behind it. And it was kind of weird. It drew my attention right away because they were moving. There was all kinds
This
of
is
activity going on there.
I'm
And
sorry.
I'm
So
like,
for our listeners, this is the Mears household. He's described the Mears home and outbuildings and all of that.
yeah. And so, I mean, it's literally, you could walk from that little parking place, that parking area, right across onto their front porch. Literally, it is right across from the entrance. You can't get closer. And so their driveway, I thought I'd pull in there to back out, go back to the highway, you know, get back to where I was supposed to be, back in Peru. And so I pulled into that. Yeah, there it is. Mm-hmm. That little door, that brown doors. I'll get to that brown door in a minute. But am I talking too much?
Oh no, please! I'm just showing.
Okay.
I'm trying to show to help our
Oh
viewers
yeah. Lay it
visualize
yeah.
this story. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I hope I'm not boring your listeners and stuff
oh,
like that.
not at all. Trust me, this is
Oh.
where it gets good.
But it's like, um, so I pull in the driveway to turn around, and it's literally as soon as I pull my vehicle, it was a truck at the time. It was a Dodge Ram. It was a police vehicle, but it was a Dodge Ram. And I pulled into the driveway to turn around, and this little old, I don't want to insult her and say little old lady, but she was older, and she just flying across this um, yard from the grass, from where they were unloading stuff. They were pulling stuff out of the house, furniture. And she, I mean, like a beeline, as fast as she could go in that golf cart, right to my truck. And I'm like, oh crap! I thought I'm gonna get yelled at for pulling into their parking area, or I'm not supposed to be there,
Is
or
she
they're gonna,
coming from this area here on the screen or coming from the
yeah.
home?
Well, the home is right there in front of that. Like if you look to the left of the building, as you're looking at it to your left. The house is in front of, it's like a driveway that leads back to that brown door.
Right, right.
And so further to the left is the house. So they're kind of all like in a line, but the house is right by the edge of the road, which is obviously where that picture was taken from. But that picture is taken from a little further down the road, not in front of their house. But so she makes a beeline from that area straight to across the, I mean, not, you would think that you would go like stay on the driveway or something. She goes right across the grass, right up to my truck, and starts not really asking me questions. She was just telling me stuff, and I had no idea who she was, and she had no idea who I was. But one of the things I learned working with the FBI is that if somebody wants to talk, you let them talk, because you never know. You don't interrupt them because you want to see what they have to say. They might give you something unknowingly. And so she was just telling me about her son. She was telling me about what they're doing. She never made one mention of the girls that were killed across the street. And it was just she wanted me to talk to her husband, wanted me to meet her husband. And so she says, why don't you come back and meet my husband? So I get in the golf cart with her, and I'm in uniform. I'm in a state police uniform. So I figure I got my gun on me, but it's like, looked like a little old church lady. And so I got into the golf cart with her, and then we went back to that brown door, that little brown door. That was the
Here, right here.
Yep, that's
Yep.
where we went back to, and because I didn't know it at the time, but that's a butcher shop. That whole big white building back there is a butcher shop, and they butcher hogs and stuff. And that little the brown door is like an office for the butcher shop. So I'm assuming that they had people working for them or whatever. But so I go back to that brown door with her, and I'm like, we walk inside the office, and it was just the wildest thing, because the whole office was covered with pictures of naked women. I mean, literally, the ceilings, the walls. There wasn't like an inch of space. It was plastered with pictures of women in bikinis. Um, um, it was just really bizarre. And she never made any mention of it. Like, it was like, I would have thought, like, if that was me and I brought somebody from the state police into some place and they had pictures of naked women all over, I would be embarrassed. I would be like, I apologize for all the pictures, but they're my sons or the workers or something like that. She didn't say nothing about them, which was kind of weird. It kind of like, it gave me these little uneasy feelings, like unusual, like little gut feelings that like the normal thing would have been to say something about those pictures. But there wasn't anything said. So, and then her husband comes in, and I'm talking to the husband, and I'm thinking that I'm inside this office now, and nobody knows I'm here. Nobody. I'm like, something could happen to me, and nobody would know where I'm at. Nobody would know I'm in there. And I'm like, well, and I'm starting to think about these things. Let's see. This house is right across the street from the entrance. They're moving their son out of the house. The son was was a volunteer firefighter in Delphi, and he was part of the team that discovered the girls. And now they're moving him out right after when this all happened. Then I'm in a butcher shop now, which is just bizarre. It's with the naked pictures of women, naked pictures of covered in this place, and it's in front of a butcher shop. Let's see. So I'm thinking that this is like, I'm like, this is what they're showing me. This is the girls. The girls, this is the sign that they're giving me.
Right.
I
That you had
still
just
believe,
asked. Right. Right.
I still believe to this day um, that was a sign of from those girls. It was just because it was so bizarre, so bizarre. She never once said anything about the girls, and you would think that, like, if there was two girls that were killed across the street from my house, I'd be like, oh, I feel so bad for those girls. I feel so bad for their families. Um, I'm like, how horrible, but not a word. All she talked about was her son, the son that discovered the bodies. Um, and the butcher shop. It was just really bizarre, and I wasn't investigating anything at the time. It was just um, I really felt like that was the sign that I asked the girls to give me, and so I really believe that I was meant to see something there. Maybe it was the location. Um, it, it was just I had a really strong feeling at the time um, that there would have been somebody on that porch. There would have been somebody on the porch, or there would have been somebody looking out the window. It'd be the perfect spot where you could sit and see those girls dropped off. They were dropped off right in front of the house.
Right.
Um,
Let me show something. I don't have it ready, but I can show it on my screen. Let me show the people something so that they can understand what you're saying here. Okay, you
mhm.
guys look at this. Sorry to interrupt you, Joe. I'm
No,
just
go
I'm
right
trying
ahead.
to.
And give
Okay,
me a chance
so
to drink coffee.
what you're saying here, okay, is this is the house, and that gate there is the gate you would be parking at. So what you're saying is that from that second story balcony there,
Yeah,
anyone could see who was entering and exiting those trails easily.
yeah,
Yeah,
no problem at all.
I see.
If you were going to have a lookout, you don't even have to be involved, but you could be a lookout and go, oh, they just dropped the girls off. And nobody would even see you. And it's the
Yeah.
perfect spot because that's where all the kids were dropped off at, right there. And that's where I pulled in, literally, not even like maybe 100 feet from that fence. It was a gate. It was a metal gate that was like chained shut. Mhm. But it wasn't chained shut at the time that these murders happened. It was just
Right,
open.
that's a new thing. Right, right.
Yeah. hmm Mm. So it just I had a really strong feeling about the porch, that somebody was like a lookout from there, and the butcher shop. I found out that the the method, the manner that the girls were killed, and I'm like, and there's a butcher shop right across from the entrance. It's like it's like a blaring to me. It was just like, did anybody talk to these people? I don't know. I wasn't involved in the investigation. I wasn't privy to anything. Um, but to me, it's blaringly obvious. Sometimes the most the simplest explanation is usually the one that's correct. And then,
Exactly, exactly.
well, I mean, that's like they had their command center set up in these people's driveway. I'm
Mhm.
like, did anybody talk to them? Did
Did
anybody hear them?
anyone go and check the butcher shop
Butcher shop. Yeah. Where
or the
would you get where
barn?
would be the perfect spot to get rid of a knife that was used in a homicide would be a butcher shop because there's knives everywhere. There's
Exactly,
knives probably hanging up in that place. I don't
hiding in
know.
plain sight. You could just wash the knife
Mhm.
and yeah,
Yeah. So my gut's telling me, you're looking at all these other places around here, all these other places. And I don't want to badmouth anybody or because I'm not really privy to all the ins and outs of the investigation, but I'm just really, what I felt is that if everybody's looking everywhere else but right here. It's like this place is right under your nose. nobody's. So when I left there, I had this strong feeling like I got to tell somebody. Because I'm not just some Joe Schmo walking down the street. I'm a master trooper with the Indiana State Police, and we hone those skills of like your gut instinct, your gut feeling, a hunch. I've followed up on hunches and solved cases. You don't ignore a hunch. You don't. That's how you solve stuff. You get a little break, or you get a little lead, or whatever. You follow up on it. That's what they're doing with that tip hotline. People were calling in tips. You follow up on them. No matter how ridiculous sounding, you still got to follow up on it because you don't know if that could be the dude. So I went to our detectives and sat down with the lead detective, the sergeant of detectives, and told him the whole experience I had, what happened, um, what I felt. And I was hesitant at first because cops are usually type A personalities, and I didn't know how receptive they would be to something like that. And um, so I told him everything, and he said he would pass that on to the people that were actually doing the investigation. I think he said he would pass it on to the FBI because I think they were still involved at that time, and that was it. That was the last I ever heard of anything. I didn't hear anything back. Never got any feedback. I never heard anything. So I don't know. Did they really tell somebody,
All
or
right.
did they just get a good laugh out of it?
So that's a good point. So you're saying that you sent in this tip about this,
Yeah.
um, and you
Yep.
just never heard a word back. Not
Nope.
zero,
And
zilch.
so like a while later, I was still curious. I'm like, did anybody ever do anything or interview these people? So I called the FBI tip line itself and left a message with the tip line, and nobody ever called me back from that. So I don't know if
Second
they
tip.
got,
Okay.
yeah, second time I actually called the FBI tip line, and you'd think somebody would have called me back, being a master trooper with the Indiana State Police, held two top secret clearances. I just don't make stuff up. And it was a strong hunch. Just tell me, hey, we interviewed those people, they have an alibi, or we cleared them. That's all you need to do. But to not return any information, to not say anything to me is kind of an insult, or uh, you just got a good laugh out of it because that's woo woo stuff, and that's what people think about that kind of thing. So, um, but I there's not much more I can do with it, but um, just keep following up with it on my own, and that's what I have been kind of following up with it with Noe, and seeing other things. Like another thing, am I talking too much?
Oh heck no! That's why you're here.
Well, it's like I hope they're getting something out of this, some enjoyment. But I watched an interview on the 1 year anniversary on Dr. Phil. We talked about this at an earlier one. Um, and I don't know the superintendent of the state police really well, but I know him. And
You're
he was
talking Doug Carter. Doug
Yeah,
Carter.
Doug Carter. And he was on the Phil, not the Dr. Phil show, is the one that had a show on the 1 year anniversary. And he had family members there. He had Superintendent Carter there. He had I don't know, he's not the paternal, he's not a blood grandfather. I don't know how he was related. Um, the daughters, I think, were at his house the night before this happened.
Right.
Um,
But Mike Patty.
Yeah, and and so I'm watching this, and they showed a clip of a press conference that Superintendent Carter gave while the investigation was still going on, and it was a big press conference and stuff like that. and they showed that clip of him where he said, I'm speaking to the murderer. The murderer could be in this room right now." And I'm like, I saw the look on his face, and it was like he was serious. He was dead serious, and it made me feel like he was talking to somebody in that room. That we're in it. If you watch that, go back. Whoever's watching this on here tonight, it's the 1 year anniversary of the killings. Dr. Phil. It's an hour show, and watch that interview or the press conference that Doug Carter did um, on his on at in Delphi. He gave the press conference in Delphi, but look at the seriousness on his face. He says, "We will get you. We will catch you." And it was really serious. He was speaking to somebody in that room, and I'm like, I'm like, so I started thinking, how could the killer be in that room? Um, why would he even think the killer could be in that room? Uh, that's not something you say. And the look on
Not
his
something you
face.
say, right? Yeah, and
Mhm,
what I know about that day is they were taking note of who was in that room. You know,
mhm,
it's there's
mhm.
people have scoured that video to say who was in that room.
Yeah.
And
I mean, he
what's
was
interesting
talking to
to me,
somebody, and I don't know who was in that room, but I've known him. I know him enough to know that, man, if I was on the other side of that stair, I know that my butt's in a sling. I know I'm in trouble if he's looking at me like that. Um, he was dead serious. I mean, two laser beams coming out of his eyes, penetrating somebody in that room. Um, I, and it wasn't like he was talking to the camera, because most of the time you see those kind of things,
oh,
they're
good
talking
point.
to the camera like, "We're gonna get you, we're gonna find you, we will not rest until we find you." But this was not talking to the camera. He was talking to somebody in that room, and that was a difference. I've never seen it. I've never seen that before. Like, he would have gotten off that stage and grabbed that person.
I still think that the a
Hmm.
at least a killer was in that room. So, you
Hmm.
see about Doug and this whole debacle is people often will criticize that, oh, the public should not be discussing any potential perpetrators of this crime, but the public is doing their best, and that the
Yeah.
actual fact is that no
They're
one has
not.
been cleared. And Doug Carter has said that many times, that no one has been cleared, or we haven't cleared
Mhm.
anybody, however he phrased it.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
they on all this time, they even to this day, there's someone that they have identified as being involved in this,
Mhm.
that they're prosecuting, but even now, no one else is cleared.
Yeah.
What
That's,
is
the people should be talking about it. They should be until this is solved. Um, Somebody knows something. Somebody There's still people walking around that know what happened
Mhm.
and know who was involved. And you don't stop talking about it until you figure it out. That's why we do neighborhood canvases after a crime. We go and knock on doors because somebody might have seen something. Somebody might have heard something. An unusual car. I even brought up ideas. Was when I worked under a cover with the FBI. Um, there's satellites up 24/7, photographing everything in this country continuously. And we investigated cases with the FBI where they contacted, I can't remember if it was the NSA or the CIA or whoever, to see if they had any satellite images of that spot at that day, at that time. And this was close enough. The ones that was investigating, there was like a year or so from that date. So they didn't have anything. But that close, did anybody ask? That's what I asked these kind of questions, and I never got an answer back. Did anybody ask to see if there was any satellite images of that area on that day? And I never got any answer back. But it's a valid
You're
question.
talking about the eye in the sky. And
Hmm.
it's funny because Doug uses these odd phrases. Like in one of the talk shows he did with a couple other I.S.P,
Hmm.
he said, "We have an aerial view, a complete picture of what happened to those girls that day."
Hmm.
And that phrase has really stuck with
Hmm.
me, is to think, well, does he have satellite imagery?
Hmm.
And he's
It's there.
hinting to put heat on people to say, we know you're in the room. We have
Hmm.
an aerial view.
Hmm.
It's just odd. It's just so puzzling. And I think
Yeah.
that's part of the fascination with this case. And it's a good thing for these girls, is that people cannot wrap their minds around it.
Mm-mm. And so that's the I don't know where I was going with all that stuff, but it
Well,
was
sorry to
um,
disturb you, or
oh
to disturb your
the
train of
call
thought.
or the show the Dr. Phil show. There was another gentleman on there, and I'm not accusing anybody of anything. It's just when I watched the Dr. Phil show, that dude that was sitting there, if you held that sketch up or that picture from her phone of the guy walking on the bridge, it looked exactly to a T, to a T of the guy that was on the bridge. And I think it was the grandfather.
Maybe Mike
Right.
Patty. Yeah.
Yeah. They instantly, as soon as I saw him, I'm like, he looks exactly like the photo. He looks exactly like the sketch. He sounds like him. He walks like him. He uh, just his body shape. I, and I, not that I'm saying he did it, because I'm just saying what I thought. What immediately came to my mind when I saw that. I've never seen the guy before. I saw that Dr. Phil show. Never seen him, but when I saw him and heard him um, like that, that fast, I'm like, holy crap! He's sitting here. The superintendent's sitting here, and just who was it? Was he talking to him? I don't know.
Well, the family was in the room that day you're referencing. And
I
there's another thing. I've never really brought
I'm
much
just.
attention to this, but I noticed this on that day. If you go back and watch that press conference, it's very
Hmm.
odd, Joe. What you see is immediately when he finishes his prepared speech,
Uh-huh.
him and the sheriff storm out of there aggressively, right past the family. No greeting, no goodbye, no. They just barge out of the room, almost like for theatrics' sake.
Hmm. Well, I'd be pissed if I couldn't. If I kind of thought it was somebody and I couldn't arrest him, I'd be pissed.
Hmm.
I would be like, to know that this dude's free or whoever it is free, but I just don't have enough to arrest him.
Hmm.
That would be really hard to deal with, even if
It,
you're
it,
looking
it,
at
it,
somebody's
it,
Facebook page.
that would be understandable. I mean, a lot of things would make sense in this kind
Yeah,
of scenario, but
yeah, and that's the stuff like with that him. Was he ruled out? Was he even considered a suspect? Was he? Um, you can do a voice analysis. They have the technology to compare like his voice to that little clip on that phone said get down the hill. You
Mhm.
can analyze that. Did they do that? Did they have him say something? See, hey, say down the hill, and then we'll compare it to the one thing on the phone. That just stuff that doesn't make. And how, if that's if how would why would those girls go down the hill with whoever that was on the bridge? Why wouldn't they run?
Well,
If he
what
had.
I've always thought too, Joe, is the word guys. Okay, because I
Mm-hmm.
was a school teacher for many years,
Mm-hmm.
and The reason we use the word guys with the kids is
Mm-hmm.
because it's non-abrasive, it's familiar, it
Mm-hmm.
shows camaraderie.
Yeah.
So instead of saying students or
Mhm.
class or kids, I
Yeah.
learned very early in my career to say guys, because
Yeah.
then all of a sudden we're a whole team. All the little kids will turn around and they're
Mm-hmm.
good to go. So guys for me has a sort of an air of familiar
Mm-hmm.
nature.
Yeah.
And when I hear guys down the hill, for me it sounds like that's someone
Mhm.
known to the victims.
Yeah. And there's nobody else out there. There's, he doesn't need to say, ma'am or children, uh, you two, because there's nobody else there. It's just say, get down the hill.
Yeah, Gianna says it's a
Get
term of
down the hill.
endearment. That's the phrase I was looking for.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's
And they
it's
trust them. They trust them.
it builds. I mean, it removes the defenses. When you say guys, that's why it's a popular phrase with millennials on social media. Everything's
Hmm.
is use guys is this and guys is this and guys because
Hmm.
of that very reason. It's like she says, it's a term of endearment. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Term of endearment. They knew him. They knew, and that that leads me to another point too that really after going to the scene and going back with Noe, finding out where the girls were discovered, where their bodies were found. There's no way one person could commit that crime.
I wanted to get into that today with you, so I guess we're there now. Yeah, I wanted to ask you
Right?
specific this question
Mhm.
because I wanted to say, let me play some of the footage. I wanted to say you went out there. Okay, so
Mhm.
let me do this. You went out there with
Mhm.
Noe, um, and so I'll just let it play silently. But yeah, so I wanted to ask, what was your opinion after going and seeing this whole place about the crime flow that's alleged by the state at this point?
Mhm. Well, it's there's no way you're going to get two little girls across that river because it was pretty high, and when when the crimes were committed, it was still high. It was high then. It was high when we were out there. And how are you going to keep two girls together from floating down that river? I don't know. It's hard. It would be almost impossible to keep them two together and get them across that river. Do whatever you're going to do. Um, I started feeling like there had to be a lookout. If I was going to commit a crime, any crime you commit, bank robbery, you got to have a lookout. You got to have somebody that, while they're in there robbing the bank, has to sit outside and go, "Hey, cops are here." Oh wait, cops are coming in, or something. It's like one of the there had to be a lookout to say, like, when those girls were abducted or whatever they were doing on that bridge, that guy with the gun, whoever it was, where they would say, "Hey, wait, somebody else is coming down the trail," or somebody else just got dropped off. So you'd have to have somebody that would tell you that there's somebody coming down that trail that's going to see what you're doing. You know, you just
Yeah.
can't hope that nobody will ever come by. So you'd
And
have to have
that's
somebody.
my impression. I've said this several times to these listeners, but I want to say it in front of you and
Hmm.
get your feedback is that when I went out to visit, it's like I didn't have this strong of a feeling about it but when I went out there, I made sure to go between noon and 3:30
Uh
so
huh.
that I could be at that part of the day. And when
Yeah.
I walked out there, it's almost like the overwhelming first impression that I had was absolutely no way. Absolutely no way. Everything that I've been told is incorrect because
Hmm.
it's broad daylight.
Hmm.
It's wide
Yeah.
open,
Yeah.
and it's so loud because it's so wide open. You would expect, and there's water, that if
Yeah.
anyone would scream or yell,
Hmm.
people could hear it for damn near a mile in any
Yeah.
direction on that trip, and you would feel like if you went to abduct a girl, much less two, one of them yells, you don't know who's coming around that trail behind you, and
Mhm.
and so
Or what if one of them ran off?
right,
Um,
and then
How are
you
you
got
going
then you
to
have
think
one
about?
this way and one, and you're trying to, yeah,
And then where the girls were found is this area we're looking at right there. It's
yeah.
on the other side of the river. How did they get them girls over to the other side of the river, do what they did? As far as I understand, that there was no blood at the scene, or very little.
Well,
Um,
there's very little from the one who's clothed,
mhm.
but the one who's nude, there's a large amount uh, in the area. So it appears that she had been assaulted there and bled there, and then walked
Mhm.
around a bit and then collapsed. That's what it appears
Uh,
like. But then she was moved and staged afterwards
there I
too.
am, right there. Yeah, so you can see, um, how do you get them there? That's the thing, is it's
Yeah, look
very
at that water.
hilly.
Yeah.
It was hard for me to walk to that place because of the steepness of the hills, the trees, the bushes, and how you going to get two girls there? I have no idea. You're not going to be able to do that by yourself. Impossible. No, I don't think it's possible. There was more than one person. There had to be more than one person to do this crime. I had to have a lookout, and whoever was hiding by the bridge, because I think there's a picture of this dude hiding by a bush or a tree or something. You could see him poke out from behind the
People
tree.
have asserted that fact, but I
But it's
I'm
really
I
hard
don't
to
have a feeling
see.
one way or the other. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you had to have somebody saying, "Hey, they just dropped the girls off," call them on a cell phone or something. "Hey, they just dropped the girls off. The girls are
Right.
here."
You would expect there's phones involved, I would suspect.
Yeah, and then it looked like it would be easier, like if there was a road or a path or something where you could have a vehicle waiting to put them in the vehicle and drive down the road, commit your crime, and then bring them back to the scene. I don't know, but
Did you see that, Joe? I don't mean to interrupt. Did you see on the screen are some of the phrases from the spirit box? Look at that one that just popped up. It touched my heart. Watch this one.
mm,
After you look at this, it's going to pop up. What I did it in real time, so as the
okay.
spirit box says it, you're going to see it pop up.
Mhm.
I'm sorry to stop you.
No, no, that's all right.
Went a little too far back, I guess.
Um, hmm,
Or I might have not gone back far enough.
mhm. But then, like,
It
I
said,
just,
"Please don't stop."
huh?
It said, "Please don't stop."
Yeah.
That was the phrase at that point.
No, there was a lot of, I had some really good connections with I believe the girls while I was out there. Really good information, really good connections with the girls out there. And um, it was, I don't know. It's just the things that, like I said, about that just don't make any sense. That just don't make any sense. There was a shooting range down there. Um, a little bit further.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, let me stop this. Let me show that because
Hmm.
I have that up too. So this is okay. So let me at this point we're near Wilson Bridge now. So this is the
Yeah.
Mears Bottoms, or it's basically a huge field owned by the Mears family, same family, but
Hmm.
it's about 3/4 of a mile further through the woods, and you'll see here where the camera is looking. This is where the shooter would stand, and what Joe's about to tell you, you'll see that I'm going to turn the camera around, and
Hmm.
uh, and that's where the target would be set up. So I'll let you keep going. I just wanted to show it.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
this is going into towards Wilson Bridge now.
Okay. And I'm trying to see if I see the tree with the target. It was in there a little ways, but it was like it looked like it had been there for a long time because it was like had a wood backing. and it was like you could see all the bullet holes in the tree. Um, yeah, it looks like we're getting closer.
Uh, yeah, I'm not sure. I may have passed it already and did. I don't think I filmed it intentionally because
Oh,
Noe
okay.
and I were talking about you because I said, you know what's odd, Noe? When I went do this, it was just a few days before you and him went out there,
Really?
and
Wow.
uh, and I missed that tree altogether.
Yeah, I don't see it. But it was clear. There was like paper target, like on a backing, like an old square that you would paste a target on or something, just a round bullseye or something. And they would stand out there and maybe sight their weapons in. I don't know. But there was a lot of shotgun shells out there. But the reason I brought that up is because they were saying that they found a bullet and they wanted to say it was this guy's bullet that they have in custody now. And I took that to the not the prosecutor. Well, no, the defense attorneys. I brought it to them, um, and they contacted me back because I took it to them. I'm like, "You're defending this guy that's in jail right now, that's been accused of having a bullet." Um, and I think that's how they assumed that he had a gun or something. But I thought, well, there's a shooting range there. I have the shotgun shells from there. All you'd have to do is say that there's a shooting range there. How do you know that this guy, if it is his bullet, wasn't out there target shooting? How do you know that this is a common place for people to go and target shoot? It's been there for, it looked like it's been there for years, years and years. And that's what I heard from other people is that the people used to go and target shoot there. I don't know if they went there before they'd go hunting, sight something in, sight their shotguns in or something. I don't know. But you'd think that that would be a really like a cast enough doubt um, that it might affect if all they have is a bullet. Wouldn't you want to throw as much doubt on that as possible that this was a um, that he had a gun on him? No, there's a shooting range there. A lot of people go through the woods. Could have been a bullet that fell out of somebody's pocket, um, but they didn't take it. They didn't want it. So I'm like, you don't want evidence that there was a shooting range out there that might help exonerate your client. I don't understand that one either. I don't. So, anyways, that's take it for what it's worth. There's just a lot of like stuff like that. That's just, and then like around here, like that Wilson Bridge, we um, is when the girls talked about the cave.
Oh yeah, let me show that.
Hmm.
Yeah, because there's been so I have an opinion on this is that for all these years there's been these rumors and murmurings of cave
Hmm.
tunnels, things like that, and people kind of took that literal because there is an actual cave that's sort of deteriorating or falling apart on the creek, but it's inaccessible. You have to be in a boat or in the water to get near
Hmm.
to that cave, and it's not very large. But
Hmm.
so let me show. So where we were just looking at in the woods at Wilson Bridge,
Hmm.
uh, there is this culvert here, which
Hmm.
is you go through the woods towards I think it's 300, but
Hmm.
as you go towards that road, you run right into this,
Yeah, we'd
and
never seen it there before. We'd never seen it. Just and this was the day that the girls said something about a cave, the cave, and I looked at this and I'm like, that looks like a cave. If I was a kid, like the age of those girls or teenagers or whatever, I wouldn't say, "Hey, let's go to the culvert." You'd have some kind of like kid name for it, like the cave or the hideout or something. It looks like a cave.
It looks like a cave.
Yeah, I know. So, and it just made me feel like it was just like they were trying to tell us that this is a hangout. This is where some of the kids would come and hang out. Like they would go and goof off or just hang out, smoke a cigarette or something, like kids do.
Yeah,
Um,
and let me show this that you guys found all evidence of that. Like, see these bottles, these beer bottles
beer
all over.
bottles, kids hang out, smoke a cigarette, maybe drink a beer. It's a hangout where you go into the woods, and especially during the summer when all the leaves are on the trees, it'd look even more like a cave, you know? And that's the thing is like, how are you gonna? That's the whole thing about this case that it's in February. There's no leaves on the trees. You can see. How are you going to park on that road and drag two girls' bodies out of a car, drag them across those hills, through the woods, and dump them where they left them? It's just almost impossible. So I don't know, and just to it all comes to for me it all comes together. There's a butcher shop there. There's knives. There's people that know how to bleed somebody out. They know how to hang something upside down. They know how to butcher. There's people that are trained in that right across the street. There's evidence of stuff on the scene here. There's just no way that one person could commit the crime. There's people that look like the suspect. There's there's people that the guy that helped to find the girls lived across the street, and that I find that unusual too. I mean, not that I'm accusing anybody of anything, mind you. Um, that usually a lot of times people that do commit crimes like that will be on the search parties. It's just a thrill for them to be the one that they get the glory because they found the girls and stuff like that. Um, so it's not unusual to have the person that killed them be in the search party. Um, so I don't know.
And
It's
see,
just
for me, Joe, let me pause it there because I want the people to
yeah,
see.
the cave. Oh yeah.
In my opinion, this would be the ideal place to hide
Mm-hmm.
one or both, one or two dead girls. If one's dead,
Mm-hmm.
or even if they're alive, if you wanted to hide some
Yeah.
teenagers, and there's a search happening a mile down the creek,
Mm-hmm.
this would be an ideal place to stash
Yeah.
those girls until everything quieted down, where you could then go put them on the dump site.
Mm-hmm. Did they even search it?
No, no.
I don't know. It's like I never knew it was there. It was like for some reason they wanted us to see that. They wanted us to see this cave. But you're right, it would have been the perfect spot because you could stand there right underneath the road and nobody would know. There's no way anybody could see you.
And see how you can see out of that thing? You can
Hmm.
see very well out of it.
Yeah, and it's a
The
cave.
road's above you, so you can hear anyone coming. I was fascinated by this cave. I think
Hmm.
it's the reason there's the rumors of tunnels and caves with this crime.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just I don't know. I just think that there's more. Um, I get the feeling like people want this investigation done and closed and over. Um, that there was a lot of stuff that happened in the course of this investigation. Um, there was a lot of different agencies involved, um, and I don't know. It just seemed like the perfect storm. There was I like that the triangle there.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of get into that, but I was going to let you finish your statement.
Oh, well, then one time, the last time I think Noe and I were out there, there was a bag of or box sitting there, and I know it was just added there probably pretty recently, but it had all kinds of like Delphi school clothes.
The
Like
clothing, I remember that. Yeah,
it had
yeah.
like Delphi volleyball girls' clothes and stuff, and it was just a weird omen, a weird thing
You
to
know what?
me.
I have that. Let me pull that up too. This is what he's talking about. I just happen to have had that
Yeah,
ready.
okay,
Yeah, look at this.
yeah, it was a
They
box full of
stumbled.
clothes.
Okay, let me back it up. They
I still
stumbled
have
on
that shirt.
the way out. They stumbled across this stuff, and you guys are going. Your mind's going to be blown if you haven't seen this. This is by
I don't.
Wilson.
What are the chances of that?
Yeah, this is leaving Wilson Bridge, so you're going to see they're about to stumble onto it, and the most odd thing is one of the shirts is a shirt that there's pictures of one of our victims in.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
volleyball
soccer, that
or
one there, that one
yeah,
there.
that
Oh,
I still have that at home.
it glitched. Look at that. You have that shirt? You kept that
Yeah.
shirt?
Mm-hmm. Still have it. It's in my garage at home.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know that. Wow, look at
It's
that.
like the stuff that nobody. That's the weird thing is nobody seems to care. Nobody cared about the shotgun shells. Nobody cares about okay, you found a little Delphi shirt. Nobody cares that you just all this bizarre stuff happened to me exactly 1 month after the killings. Don't you think it's kind of bizarre that they're moving somebody out after the murders? The guy that
Yeah.
found the girls? I, not that he's a suspect. I don't know. It just seems like that would be the most, it's the most obvious.
What was the date of this? What was the date that you went out the very first time? What
It
in
was the date
March?
of the anniversary of the girls dying. It was what the either when they were found or something. It was right around Valentine's, like a month after Valentine's Day.
Mm. Well,
And
so it must have been March 13th then. Yeah,
yeah, somewhere I know
2017
it was like a month after the girls were murdered.
or 14th, March 14th maybe. Somewhere in there is
Hmm.
when you went out. Okay.
Yeah, um, and it's just it just I wouldn't have these concerns if it was an open and shut case. I wouldn't have these concerns if they had arrested the perpetrators right away. If it took a little bit, but they eventually confessed or ratted out somebody else, I wouldn't have these concerns. But 7 years or however long it's been since the killings, um, obviously something we missed something. They missed something. Um, to still be a cold case. I think it's still a cold case.
Me
I
too.
don't think it's not solved.
I don't think it's solved, but it's getting there slowly but surely, I think.
Yeah, slowly but surely.
So this triangle here,
Hmm.
what we were trying to explain is that I guess the basic feeling that Noe and I have is that everything that happened to these girls appears to have taken place within the bounds of this triangle.
Hmm.
And by that I mean mainly in the properties along this stretch of creek. Okay,
Hmm.
uh, let me show. So my opinion uh, is that this yellow line is possibly what happened with the girls. I think that they had started at the high bridge,
Hmm.
and I think they walked along the creek to that Wilson Bridge area. At which point they were victimized. That's my theory. So they walked from the left where on your screen it would be from
Hmm.
the left to the right where it says uh, Old Royster Ford in Carroll County. That's the
Is
Wilson
that?
Bridge.
Oh, that's the Wilson Bridge there.
So that ends up being about a
Mhm.
mile. Um, and I had someone said that it took 26 or 27 minutes to walk it.
Mhm. I
So
don't.
within that time period, they could end up from one bridge to the other.
Mhm.
And I think if they were kept there till overnight, in the middle of the night, then they could easily be brought back under the cover of darkness and dumped kind of right back where they started, but on the other side of the water. That's my theory, but
Yeah.
I'm not shoving it down your throat. But I guess the triangle is showing that what I'm showing here is on the left, you have Riley Park, and I believe Tobe Lesenby was in. I have reason to believe Tobe Lesenby was sitting in Riley Park, okay, for some reason. And I have reason to believe that the girls were on the right side of the triangle at Wilson Bridge, and at the top of the triangle is the Andersons, which is another lookout point to see vehicle traffic coming in and out of the area. And I believe that another of the quote unquote searchers was staged there. So I think you had 3 points of interest, but within the bounds of that, all the shenanigans happened. And I know that you and I have talked about that before, but
yeah.
okay. So what else do I have in the slideshow so I can let you talk again? Let's see. Oh, I wanted to ask you about malfeasance, okay? Because this is something we've all been speaking about now. Now, I guess before I get into the details, how common would you think corruption is within the ranks of law enforcement and the court system there in your experience or in your vicinity?
Wow, that's a loaded question.
Feel free to not answer.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the. I've heard little bits and pieces about the accusations of corruption and stuff in that area, but I don't know a lot about it. I don't know how it's tied into the case. I don't. The only thing I know is when I took that shotgun shell, I called the attorneys that were representing what's his name? It's in jail. But and they wanted me to they asked me to find somebody that they could talk to about corruption, and they didn't mention any names. They didn't mention who. Um, I had kind of an idea of, I think, probably from Noe maybe, about um, that there was accusations of some kind of corruption going on. But they asked me, the attorneys called me back and wanted to know who they could talk to about corruption because they couldn't go to the local agencies. They couldn't go to the local agency. They couldn't go to the state police. Um, I think in their mind, they wanted somebody independent that wasn't involved in the case, that wasn't going to be tainted. Somebody that um, would be unbiased. And so I came up with some names, and I mistakenly called. um, oh, I can't remember. It was like somebody from the state police out of the Lafayette Post, and it was yeah, he was. I guess he's not too friendly with people that are involved in these accusations or whatever. But I kind of tried to come up with ideas of maybe going to somebody in a different city, maybe go to the FBI out of a different city. But they couldn't talk to anybody in this whole area because of the fears of the corruption.
Wow.
And
Okay. Good point. So I'll jump from that. So, are you aware of some of the points of of what people are suspicious about in regards to? I'll just go ahead and say it like I'm showing this document because within this document, it's very well spelled out
Mhm.
that right here where it says that there's 70 days of missing law enforcement product regarding video interviews. So it says here that the entire first about 6 days. That's the February 14th to 2017 to
Mm-hmm.
February 20th, 2017. All the interviews from the interrogation room were erased.
Wow.
Okay, very important first week of interviews. And then again,
Mhm.
all videos from April 28th, 2017 to June 30th, 2017. In totality, this equals 70 whole days of lost interviews. Okay, that appear to have been deleted, and it's just highly suspicious. So if you go here, we're going to look at number E. Oh, sorry about that. Number E says totaling the missing days of interviews would show that the state of Indiana has lost 70 days worth of interviews and claims to have no ability to fully account, because they also claim that there's no log whatsoever that tracks who was interviewed and what interviews have been deleted. And so there's all of that missing. 70 days. It's in the first 6 months. It's extremely concerning. And then here at number 8, there's a claim that there's no phone dump evidence from the family, neither from Kelsey German's phones, who was the sister who allegedly dropped off the victims,
Mhm. Yeah.
nor the grandfather, grandmother, or stepbrother, or uncle, Cody, Patty, whoever you want to call him. So we got no family phones at all to establish a timeline with digital forensics. We've
Mhm.
got no interviews for 70 days in the essential first months. And then to make things worse, it was discovered that there were 3 phones malingering around the crime scene from approximately 12. I can't remember exactly the time. I think it's 12. Might be something like 12:15, or it's 12:39. Okay, 12:39. So between 12:39 p.m., which would have been allegedly before the girls were even out there, and 5:49 p.m., you
Mhm.
have 3 phones that are traversing the crime scene on both uh, and malingering around both sides of the creek, uh,
Mhm.
even exactly at the crime scene
Mhm.
at the time they alleged the murders were taking place, at the
Mhm.
3:09 to 3:30 time frame.
Mhm.
So those 3 phones, although geofencing exists and maps have been made from those data points that exist,
Mhm.
the prosecutor requested that they not be allowed in trial, and the judge granted
Mm.
that request.
Wow.
Well, all that's known is that none of those phones have been tied to the accused. So
Mm.
between that digital evidence and then
Mhm.
no evidence on the family and 70 missing days, people are furious and screaming
Yeah.
corruption. And that's why I asked you the
Mhm.
question.
Yeah. I don't. Um. It's. I can understand the frustration that people are having because they're not letting any information out. Very little information is being shared. It seems to be kept really hush hush, very close to the chest, and I don't understand why. At this point in the game, what are they worried about? Who are they worried about tipping off? I mean,
Oh, I know, because even the crime scene photos have now been leaked. So the details of the crime scene are known to
yes,
everybody. Yeah.
you think that a little transparency, that if you let some information out, it might help your case. It might trigger something in somebody that they go, "Oh, I remember seeing that," or "I remember seeing that van," or it might bring some information out. What's the point at this point in the investigation? I wouldn't to be going on this long. It's almost like it's not even an investigation anymore. That evidence has been bungled. As far as I know, evidence has been lost. Um, as far as I know, there's no DNA evidence. I don't know how that happened. Um, no usable DNA evidence, I would think. But it's just I don't know. Uh, um, I don't know. that there's what the corruption was that these attorneys were encountering. I don't know if it was the mishandling of information, mishandling of evidence. It sounded like they were getting. It sounded like the kind of corruption that would be more of a interference, like a more of a physical like like not being able to do my job kind of corruption. But I don't know. I didn't want to know. I told him I don't want to know because I don't want to be dragged in the case. I don't want to be on the stand. I don't want to be involved. I'll give you ideas maybe of who to go talk to, but I'm sure his attorneys, as defense attorneys, they already know who they can go talk to about corruption, charging corruption. But they asked me because they found out I worked with the FBI and I worked on a corruption task force. So um, I would obviously recommend to go to the FBI because I have a great respect for the FBI. They're very good at what they do, and they have all the time and money to do it. Um, and when the FBI arrests you, when they come to get you, your case is pretty much nailed shut. They don't arrest you unless it's because when I worked undercover with the FBI, we would sit down with the U.S. attorney and we'd tell him what we have, and he or she would just punch holes in our case, and we would
Right,
keep doing
right.
this over and over until it was like nailed shut. So,
I see. Wow.
anyways,
Well,
what do you,
Noe,
I don't know.
Noe asked to join, and before you go, so let me see
'Cause
if Noe's
I'm gonna have to go soon because I have to get up
out.
real early. But um, I've probably been talking too much as it is, anyways. How is
I
that?
know
All the listeners, am I talking
everyone's
too
thinking
much?
there's a million questions. So, Joe, could I ask you that? Would you mind maybe in the next week or so, as you have time to go
Mhm.
back and read this, would you
Yeah.
maybe
Can I
respond
give
to
a can I
questions in the
put an
comments?
email? Let me put my email give them an email address, and it's Joe dash Swisher. That's Joe dash SWISHER at outlook.com. And
Outlook. Okay.
yep, and they can send questions if they want to make contact or something like that. Just give me a holler at that um, email address.
Awesome. Yeah, you guys. So you
Mhm.
can get one-on-one answers from
One
Joe
on
or
one with
um,
real stories from the highway patrol.
Mr. Joe. Kathy
Yeah,
says
someday
thank you.
we'll have to have a show about all the crazy stuff I've seen and done as a state trooper.
Oh yeah, we're ready for that. That'll be next. Let's see if
Yeah.
I can get Noe in here. And I know he wanted to say a couple things to you before you leave. So let's see.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be
Everyone
great.
say thank you and appreciate you so much. And so do I, Joe. Just, honestly and with all my
Mhm.
heart,
Thank
thanks again
you.
for giving us the time.
Yeah, no problem. I love it. Hey, there's Noe. Hey,
Hey,
Noe.
Noe.
Hello. Well,
Yeah,
Joe, hi Joe. We
I know we haven't seen each other for a while.
yeah, I missed you.
Hmm.
Everything's going good. All the guys are doing good. We're all doing good, man.
Good. Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to come in at the end and greet you and thank
Mhm.
you and tell you I miss you. But I know you're busy. I know what's going on with
Yeah.
you. Oh, and I wanted to ask you, how's the shoulder doing?
Good. It's doing much better.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's taped up right now, but it's doing a lot better. And
Hmm.
'cause I had two surgeries on my shoulder for a rotator cuff,
Hmm.
and it's finally healing.
Awesome.
But
Awesome.
yeah, I just wanted to tell everybody out there too that the reason I haven't seen Noe in a while is or Prof is because I'm running for state representative here in Indiana.
Yes. Let me share that with the chat.
Yeah, not going to talk politics.
Joe is
It takes up
Nice.
all my
That's nice.
time.
Joe's
I'm
running for State Representative District 50 in
yeah.
Indiana. So any of you in District 50,
That's
please vote for Joe.
Wabash, Huntington, Wabash and Huntington mostly, but
Hmm.
um, it just takes up all my time.
I'm going to put a link here in the chat, you guys, for if any of you want to support his campaign, please see this link here. I'm going to pin it. Go support Joe.
Just come
to advocate for the girls and for the people of Indiana District 50. So wouldn't it be great to see him in the congressional hearings and all of this? All of these.
Somebody in the state house that actually cares.
Yeah, you got my vote for sure. I wanted to add that I'm very grateful to over the past what is it, Joe? 3 years maybe or so
3 years
since I met Joe. Met him at a very special and time of my and you've seen me go up and down and all that. But I'm doing good. I'm very grateful to have shared some time and talk and you visit my home and etc. And the trips that we've done have been very just so healthy for me. I find a lot of peace and love and harmony and you teach me a lot and we miss you. But I know that well, if you get elected, we're definitely not going to see you for a while. But we're there.
I'll still be there. I'll still be there. It's only a part-time job.
Okay, well, yeah, we all miss you there, man, and the group's doing good. I go there. I still go to our meetings twice a week. But yeah, I mean, a mentor, a friend, a sponsor. It's been awesome. It's been awesome, and there's some amazing trips that I've made with you. And if you have time, just let me know.
Yeah,
we'll go back.
Go have lunch again.
Go. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we got some.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see you, Noe.
Yeah, good to see you, Joe.
But I have to go to sleep. It's past my bedtime.
Go hit the set.
Joe, thank you so much. I know everyone in the chat. Please give Joe a round of applause and support his efforts. And we'll see him again.
Thank you all for
tuning in. Vote for Joe.
Where were you in the parades? You could have been in the parade with me with the tambourine.
I was working, man. I missed all of them. I did make it to a car show, and I opened my camera and I showed Prof. I was on the phone with Prof, and I showed Prof one of the car shows this summer.
Nice. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you all for tuning in and listening to me talk and on and on about the Delphi. I love paranormal stuff. I'm trying to start a paranormal group here in Huntington County. I'm gonna I think next month they want to have a first meeting of this paranormal group where maybe we'll go and like to a cemetery or something, and just a little support group and show stuff, tell stuff. And I think I'm gonna call it like Hoosier Hauntings.
Oh, if you ever want to share anything on YouTube, you know that I'm sure Prof will give you his platform. And I have a friend in Ireland, which, by the way, Kishti, my friend from Ireland, he's got a decent channel as well. Wanted me to say hi to you.
Oh, well, hello to Ireland. Hello to New Zealand.
So, yeah.
I'd love to go to New Zealand someday.
If you ever want to share any of your findings and adventures, let us know.
Well, thank you.
And everyone, there's plenty. There's several videos of Joe's paranormal endeavors directly relating to Delphi right here on the channel in the video section. So,
and if they reach out to me and stuff, I could. I've had experiences with paranormal stuff in Wabash. There was a mass murderer that killed a whole family and stuff like that, and in Wabash. And it's an interesting story, but I had a real direct connection between some of his victims. Just some really interesting history, some interesting paranormal stuff locally right here in Indiana. So if they want to reach out, I'd be more than happy to share stuff with them or with you as well, Prof, whatever you need.
All right, I look forward. Good night,
Good
Joe.
luck.
All right, you guys have a good night.
Night.
Cheers and God bless.
God
Thank
bless.
you.
All right, there goes Joe. Round of applause for Joe, everyone in the chat. Please, round of applause. Hit the thumbs up for Joe also, please. Yeah. Well, wow, what an amazing time with Joe. It was better than I expected. I gotta admit, you just never know how great things will be. That's how life is. That's why we wake up every morning. Well, damn, Noe, good to see you. I wanted to play something too, so let me do this. Let's see, because I wasn't able, for some reason, I had some compatibility issues, but I want to do this for Joe. Let me do this. While Joe's going out, I want to play this. Look at. All right, guys. This is Joe's last day when he retired. Okay, so I'll put this here so all you can watch it. Watch his salute. And that's how they do it in the I.S.P, Indiana State Police. So congrats again, Joe, on your retirement and on your run for office.
Isn't that amazing? That's how Joe wrote out his last day on his unit. And when I found that video, it just gave me goosebumps, man. And I saw Joe a couple days after, but that video's on his TikTok. Joe Swisher on his TikTok, and I said, Joe, I just saw the coolest thing, and I showed him, and he started laughing. Oh my God, no! That was his last day as a trooper, retirement ride.
Awesome. I see Bobby Smith's leaving. Good night, Bobby, and anyone else leaving. Good night to you. But we're gonna hang out a few minutes and just talk with the chat. And yeah. So let's do this, Noe. Let's talk about this because I know Joe had to go, but people were asking. Let's talk about this triangle.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Because I think some people might have missed the special episode we did discussing this, but. Yeah, why don't I let you run with it? What is the triangle?
Okay, well, there's 3 points. One of them being Wilson's Bridge to Anderson's and the High Bridge, right, Prof? The High Bridge.
Well, this is the second or the first version, which it stops at Riley Park.
Okay? Oh, Riley. Okay, this is the extended one. Yeah, the one
I'm going to explain why.
The smaller one. Okay.
Okay, because Riley Park, for all of you who don't know the area, is very close to the Marathon gas station.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's some very concerning things about the Marathon gas station, but if you start to think that Toe Blesenby was sitting in Riley Park, possibly, allegedly, and we have several individuals, a flurry of activity of individuals going into Marathon gas station, and I'll let the chat run with that. So think about how easy it would be for anyone running into Marathon gas station whose digital video evidence has been destroyed, quote unquote, accidentally. Isn't that a pattern? Doesn't that seem to be a pattern with this case? Digital evidence is being destroyed in every important place, including all the activity at Marathon gas station. Okay, but
And that is extremely concerning, man, because you know how Joe was sharing with us as a an officer, LE. You know, you canvas the area, you talk to people, you let people talk, you want to listen, and maybe there is something you get a hunch or a gut feeling, etc. But with all these information, tips, recordings, interviews gone, you can't go back and look at that. So it just, I mean, it's incredible for me, to even try to understand how they can say that it was a one man gig here, a lone wolf theory, where like you can't even. I mean, isn't that the way they got to Allen, by going back to the previous interviews and previous notes?
well, no. That's the story they're alleging.
Well, yeah. But that's exactly what Joe was talking about. They went back, and that's according to the story, and that's how they got to Allen. But imagine if they could go further back to the, what is it, 70 days after the homicide. I mean, you could get a lot more, and but you can't.
Well, for instance, Betsy Blair allegedly produced a sketch during the time that 70 days are missing. I mean, there's just the fact that 70 days are missing, the fact that you don't have any cell phone data to establish a timeline from the family, and the fact that the Marathon gas station footage is deleted and someone involved in the situation who was working that day is dead, suspiciously, it's all very fucking weird.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon my language.
Yeah, it is. It is just
Now,
and that's what that's the corruption that we are. I mean, what was the word that they said? It was accidentally deleted or recorded over,
with the Marathon, accidentally destroyed.
destroyed. Yes. And then the interviews and all that, they were accidentally deleted or re-recorded
Accidentally deleted, recorded, okay, whatever.
So accidentally is the key word, right? But you got to take that word out and put the word corruption in there. And that's probably what the lawyers, the defense team, is referring to. And geez, we just heard Joe from his own words say that the attorneys are worried about reaching out to the law enforcement in the area, even at the state level. They want to know who can we go to that's going to really help us look into this, because that is just completely, it's not accidentally, man. Come on. Somebody deleted this crap for a reason.
All of it. So,
yeah.
So let me point out for the listeners or the viewers. So if you look at the left side of the screen here, this left point is at the Riley Park, okay? And if you look really closely, you'll see in the center is Monon High Bridge, and at the far right bottom is Wilson Bridge, okay? So if you notice, you can leave Riley Park traverse through the woods going in this direction, all from, in other words, from one corner, the bottom corner of the triangle on the left, you can go in this direction all the way to the other corner of the triangle, which is Wilson Bridge, through the woods the entire time.
And
Or on the creek the entire time.
let me add that last weekend when I was there, Fort Pitt, Josh was telling me exactly that, and he even pointed it out to me when we were arriving Riley Park on the canoe. He told me, and he pointed it out from here, from this point, which would be, if anybody's been to Riley Park, it would be towards the back or yeah, to where the known swinging bridge is. There's paths where you can take it. You can take from Riley Park, he said, all the way to Monon High Bridge. And them as kids, they used to do it, you know. He said, yeah, we used to run all that all the time. And now you're talking about Josh, someone who grew up there, who knows the area very well, and who just a week ago gave us a great tour, including myself, of the area. I mean, I think we both agree that we maybe went a little too far, starting at Dishes. But the next time we're out there, we're gonna start at Wilson Bridge and hopefully give you guys a better perspective as to how doable this transfer or walking from one point to another point would be.
I'm just reading the chat here. I'm just trying to highlight some of the chat so that people can see the awesome comments that are coming in. All right. Oh, excuse me.
Do you know if Fort Pitts is still in the chat?
Probably is.
Okay.
Let's see. All right. So yeah, let me see what else we got. I guess I can go ahead and play this again because no, maybe I should wait. Oh man, I never know how far to push things, Noe.
Go for it, play it, man.
Rebecca, for some reason, is saying thanks, Josh and Noe. Oh, it must be about the video of you guys, the awesome video of you guys on the
right
on the creek. Isn't it nice to have the HD version where you're going from Wilson Bridge over past High Bridge, and it looks so beautiful, and then you guys get out at the crime scene. It's nice, man. Thanks for doing it. Thanks, Josh, too. If I haven't already said thank you 500 times, I'm saying the 501st. Let's see. So yeah, wow. So I guess let me say this. So I think at the three corners of this triangle, you have Toe Blesby and one other. Not going to release that name at this point. At the top of the pyramid, I think you have Shane Evans. And at the right-hand corner of the pyramid, I think you have Derek German and company. So have I made that clear enough? So Noe, you kind of disappeared. You want
no, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You want me to? I'm going to play this video. You want to do a reaction or a commentary while the video plays?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, this is my video of Wilson Bridge woods. Okay, so you're not going to see the bridge. It's not about the bridge, but I played it while Joe was speaking. But I want to kind of narrate it some and get Noe to chime in here. Fort Pitt says he wants to go again. Yes. There is much to discover. I think it'd be so interesting to go, guys, when it's February and the creek is 1.5 feet higher. I think if you can match the conditions exactly to how they were February 13, 2017, that would be an amazing time to bring the canoe back out there, I think. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, so as I mentioned, this here is so let me stop it there. So this here is the field next to Wilson Bridge Woods. Okay. This is referred to by some people as Mears Bottoms, and people are known to go and smoke dope, camp out in some tents, hang around, do target shooting, basically country boy shit down in this area, in this field, because that'd be a much better place to throw a tent and spend the night than in the woods where there's all kind of bugs and sticks, right? But if you look really closely, you're going to see that there's a little drive that comes down from the road. So if you look in the center right of your screen, you're going to see there's a little brown patch that's clear. That's actually a road that comes down from the elevated highway or county road, and it drives on down into this open field. Okay? And what you'll see is I keep panning. So you see now it's on the left, and now I'm panning on into the woods. But if you notice, once you hit this right here, there's another clearance. So I'm basically walking down a cleared path that's cleared just enough for a truck or a four-wheeler side-by-side, something like that. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to get across to you guys is that one, if I back it up a bit, you'll see one could easily drive down into this open field from the road, from the county road, drive down into the field, you come on towards the camera, and then you basically pull right on in to this cleared roadway or pathway, goes into the woods. And that's where I'm walking. Now, as I'm walking, I'm going to be turning the camera left and right at times, but I'm kind of staying near the path that's cleared. Fort Pitt says ATV paths both sides of the creek and spots to even cross the creek. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And if I'm going to pan left again, I want you guys to understand where the cave is, that the culvert that we're calling the cave. Okay, so watch when I pan left, you're going to see the cave, the culvert is right in the direction I'm panning, but just give it a moment. It's going to show.
Hey, Prof, when you were there making this video, you didn't see the culvert over there on the left?
No, it's a little far to see, and my vision is a little. I need the glasses. I didn't have my glasses, but I also wasn't looking for it. So
right. Well, you know what happened?
My point is, you would very easily miss it if you weren't looking for it.
That's what I was gonna say. Is when Joe and I was walking back from spotting that target shooting range poster, we were walking back just like you were on the video. And the spirit box said cave. And when the spirit box said cave, Joe said, oh, look, that's a cave. It was like simultaneously. And that's how we spotted it, because otherwise we missed it. We would have missed it too.
Yeah, and it's basically, now the camera's looking in that direction now, but you see how thick, you can't see it you can't really see it unless you're going to look for it, because all the woods and the leaves and the colors, and it's distant, and you'd have to look for it. So it'd be a great place to hide, two girls, especially in the evening.
Right. Right. That's
towards this stump. So this area here, I'll tell you what I think about this area here. So notice Notice there's a what do you call these things? It's like a telephone pole that's been cut in half. I forget what you call that. Okay, but you'll see there's this little area here that looks like it might be someplace you would set up a blind or you would set up a camp. Okay. You hear little prop
I hear
background?
little prop.
Yeah. Okay, now you're going to see that I'm going to show the stump again. The stump is very odd too because it'd be a perfect place to use as a cutting board or something like that. So basically, my concept, ladies and gentlemen, is that this basic area is where the little hut was set up, the stick hut, okay? I'm sure you're familiar with that structure I've been posting over the years. I think it's right in this area. It's gone now. But this would be a place to have a place to stay like Eric Kurtz was alleged to stay in. Okay. So the basics of my theory of the Wilson Bridge involvement in this crime is that this is where the problem first occurred. I don't think it was High Bridge. I think the problem started over here, is my opinion. All it is a theory. There's reasons for it, but for now I'll just say that this is my theory is that this is where the trouble started. All right. So you see, now notice this. To exit the area, you have to go up a hill, okay? So notice, to pay attention to what I'm saying. To exit an area, you have to go up a hill to the road above, which is near where the bridge is, and there's a little gravel lot.
Mm-hmm.
So to enter the area from that gravel lot, you have to go down the hill. Are we making sense?
Yeah, and then the word guys, like you guys talked about why use that word.
Yeah, so basically what I'm saying though is that this right here is a hill. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You come down into the woods at Wilson Bridge. All right. So yeah, Four Pits is right that the whole triangle is a crime scene. That's basically what I'm saying. That's why we call it the triangle, because the whole crime scene is very vast. It's very vast. It's large.
Which the Mears parking lot or entrance where the girls were dropped off is right in that triangle. Which I mean, I put a lot of when Joe talks about it, and every time I hear him say that story of what he felt and what he saw, the obvious, it just I just get that strong feeling as well. And I mean, I'm not saying that that's where the girls were actually murdered, but it just the way he tells the story is very the obvious, would be like the obvious thing, and it's inside the triangle and the inside the points where they could have been taken at gunpoint from the south side of High Bridge, put in a vehicle or something, and taken around to the Wilson area, and then hidden. They could have been hidden for part of the day in that cover, and then later on in the night taken to a butcher shop. I mean, I'm not saying that's what happened, but when you hear his story and then all the information that that you put up, Prof, through sources, etc., it's very possible that something more than just one person doing this is the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that to get back around to something we can hold on to. I mean, even Joe agreed, and many people agree that this whole thing, it has to be something that would take more than one person. That's the most diplomatic way I can say it.
Mm-hmm.
It would have to take more than one person. And for many of you viewers, it would be essential to go out there to realize that, to feel it with your body. That's why it is important that the jury go out there for several reasons. But to realize that you're not going to abduct a single little guy is not going to abduct two able-bodied teenagers in the middle of the day with the high likelihood that someone else would be out there or turn a corner at any moment and that any of those girls might scream. And think about this. Why abduct them from the high bridge, the most risky precipice there is out there? From the high bridge, you could easily, chasing those girls, fall. So if those girls took off running and they're near the south end where they could easily hit land within 2 steps, or they're already on land basically, why would a bridge guy, quote unquote, why would he decide from 50 feet away to start abducting them, knowing he'd have to maybe chase them over those railroad ties and maybe fall? It just makes no sense at all. You would be much more likely to abduct them from the woods that we were just looking at, from anywhere in those woods, from anywhere on dry ground, from anywhere over there at the Wilson Bridge gravel lot. It's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, your theory also makes sense that the girls they were on a walk and they walked all along the edge, or and make their way closer to Wilson Bridge through the woods, and then stumbled into some trouble, and then everything else unfolds. That makes more sense as well than one person did this by himself.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because I want to touch on this because it all too often we get distracted with the issues of the day and we don't discuss things that deserve discussion, like geocaching, because the word of the day now is geofencing. But for years, the concept of geocaching was thrown around in this conversation. There's so many aspects to it and angles, but I would like to bring you back to Kelsey German's own words, particularly in association with the interview by James Renner in the Moose restaurant, or whatever it's called. So what Kelsey said is that in the weeks leading up to the crime, the girls were obsessed, extremely interested in geocaching and doing it all the time. She actually slips up and says, even today. Okay, so you know what Prof did? Prof thought about this particular graphic you're looking at, and I'm thinking, why in the hell do they have the objective to go from High Bridge to Wilson Bridge? I'm thinking this, and it occurs to me, hold on. There's a geocache at High Bridge. Kelsey says that herself. That's well known. Well, she also says there's a geocache in the woods on the road to the trails. Well, is not that county road that goes from Wilson Bridge to the Harvest Store?
Mm-hmm.
Is that county road not the road to the trails? Where are the woods? Okay, so near Wilson Bridge in the woods, there was a geocache. The second geocache. So my mind immediately said, well, if those girls are obsessed with geocaching at this time, and if their objective was to check the cache at the High Bridge and go check the cache near Wilson Bridge in the woods, maybe that's exactly what they did. And they followed this yellow line. If they started at the High Bridge, if that part of the story is somewhat accurate, maybe they checked that cache and then they traversed the terrain here, like the yellow line is tracing, until they reached Wilson Bridge and crossed over Wilson to get to the other side of the creek where the geocache was, the second cache. And as I mentioned, my theory here is that that is where they encountered a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, then it would make sense for them to somewhere in this triangle, once they're abducted, to be held within these bounds somewhere
Mm-hmm.
until the cover of night or the cover of darkness, where you could then transport them in some way where they're not discovered in the cover of darkness to Ron Logan's and leave them there to be found at sunrise. And that's why I do that. Now, if we go and trace, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a mathematical formula here to trace for you the distance that Google Maps is showing, because I have two people who separately traversed this exact yellow path that I drew your attention to, and they said it was a 27-minute walk. Okay. So I'm going to do some math now. Watch this. The math I'm going to do is to discover how do you convert miles. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say yards to miles. Okay. So I'm going to do this for you guys. I've already done it. But I want to do it in real time. Okay, yards to miles. There we go, converter. So we're going to do it here, live in person. We're going to say 360 yards, 1.34 miles. Before I've said a mile and a third. So that's essentially a mile and a third of foot pathway. Okay. It's a New Day says it. There's a cache there. We even went there the weekend it all happened, but Libby wouldn't go without me. That's what she said. Yeah. Okay. Also of note, there are some geocache logs missing. That is true because if you go to the website, they've been taken. Okay. Hey, Noah, you still there?
Yeah. I just set my camera, but I'm here, Prof.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got to say about that. I just wanted to get that in that people are. See, I believe the geocaching itself as an activity, the girls were heavily engaged with, preoccupied with, and possibly the motivation to be out there. It can't be forgotten or set aside or replaced with geofencing in people's brains. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So I'm seeing the chat here. So yeah, guys. So I guess that's the whole presentation I wanted to make tonight. And I don't know if Noe has something, but otherwise, let's talk with the chat now.
Yeah,
Before we get out of
let's.
here.
I was gonna suggest that, it's been a good chat, and just if I find something, I'll bring it up, and you as well. So I'm gonna go up and see what they're saying.
Oh, you mean you're gonna leave?
No, I'm
Watch. Okay.
on the chat here.
Awesome. Yeah. So
Find some. I mean, I can't highlight them, but I'll read them.
yeah, Kiwi is repeating what I said. Kiwi is repeating what I said. Yep. Gianna says she's lost, but that's okay. That's okay. This is, as I was explaining or discussing with Mr. Joe, it's an extremely information dense case. There, and part of the reason for that, I guess I got to say it this way because I don't want this to be forgotten or missed. The reason it's so information dense is not because of the accurate information about the case. It's because of disinformation and misinformation that has been purposely interjected into this case. That's why there's so much. Okay. So don't forget that. All Eyes on Delphi said, Libby texted Abby to come spend the night or stay for dinner, blah, blah, blah. Right. I get you. There's all that stuff. Thank you very much is a God thing. Thank you very much. So keeping in mind geocaching. Well, what's something about geocaching? Well, people can see where you are, where you've been. What's something about Snapchat? People can see where you are, where you've been. Remember all of the telephones and the show my location, share my location. So there's a high likelihood that people could see where you've been, but then there's an equal possibility that people were not tracking their movements. There's a high likelihood that people were catfishing them around this situation. We know they were being catfished in general, but we don't know regarding this particular situation that led them to be out there, whether they were geocaching, whether they were catfished as part of this. But it's possible. So it's equally possible, yes or no. But all of these things are factors that come into play. And you have to keep in mind that there is misinformation and disinformation, both of which have been intentionally interjected from before day one, in my opinion.
The I says, IOV Puffis says, also Becky Patty said the girls had not gone geocaching for a while. Either she didn't know or she was trying to conceal the girls were out in the woods.
Oh, wow. Wow. Let me say this first. It's a God thing. It's been a great week of lives. Thank you. Well, thank you. It's a God thing. That's beautiful. Thank you for the support. I've repeated several times to you guys that I could really use the support. I need the support. The support is very helpful because the more support, the more I can concentrate on this and not be trying to catch up with all the other technicalities of real life. As far as taking care of all the things I need to take care of. So thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. Anyone else would like to support, please send the support. It's useful, and I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Is a God thing. I have a pop that says, also Becky Patty said the girls had not gone geocaching for a while. Either she didn't know or she was trying to conceal the girls were out in the woods. Yes, because, one thing we can say without any allegations whatsoever is that there's conflicting statements. Okay, and as you may remember, those of you who have been into this case, that's the thing with this case. And that's part of the reason for the questions for the family that have arisen over the years and that people have, is that there's so many conflicting statements, conflicts, odd behavior, body language, coincidences that are just too many to accept. And so there's all of that. Thank you so much. It's a new day. Thank you. So there is that conflict, and there's so many conflicts, and it's just like the coincidences. What are the coincidences that we don't have anything from the family's phone, but we do have Becky Patty herself gaining data from AT&T to establish with us that Derek German was at Wilson Bridge. Okay. So we've been given a very specific timeline. You understand that? So let's talk about that for a moment. I'm sorry I didn't get it. I meant to have it ready for the screen. But in this narrative, okay, in this narrative, you have Derek at Wilson Bridge in the 3 o'clock hour, mysteriously, for no reason whatsoever. You know, that was put out in the very early days, placing him there, making a phone call. You have other alleged calls from Derek. Then later, once he allegedly leaves Wilson Bridge and ends up at the trailhead. Then you have a 4:12 p.m. Becky call to Kelsey, who has the very odd statements made about missing the call the first time, but then noticing there's a second call and is at the boyfriend's house and something about washing the truck or cleaning it out. And Becky says, have you heard from, it's just a story, doesn't make sense whatsoever. A 4:12 call from Becky. Have you heard from Libby and Abby? Becky calls again, 4:17, no response to Libby. Becky calls again at 4:17 to the girl's friends. So it's as if at 4 o'clock, all hell breaks loose. Oddly enough, this is just about the exact time that investigators are trying to place Richard Allen walking muddy and bloody on 300, although he's not bloody and he's not wearing bridge guy clothing. So how do you explain that? How do you explain that simultaneously you have Sarah Carbaugh see some guy muddy in a tan coat walking towards the Mears property?
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, Derek's calling Libby. Derek's calling Becky. 15 minutes later, Becky's calling everyone, freaking out.
Yeah, man, like, to me, I've been there so many times, you know. I've been in all directions, from the Freedom Bridge to the High Bridge, from the High Bridge. Now I've even done the canoe. There's no way that with the amount of people that were there between, what was it, 3:15 when Derek got there? Or 3 something?
The alleged Wilson Bridge call is at that time.
At 3,
Let me find it exactly, because I don't want to get scolded for being like 2 minutes off. But let me see.
Yeah, I guess what I was gonna say is there's no way that like only one person witnesses this muddy, bloody guy.
3:11 is the
3:11.
time.
Yeah, that's it.
Wilson Bridge, 3:11.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if that's the time the girls are getting murdered,
Yeah.
you have a flurry of activity at Ron Logan's and on the other side of the creek from the 3 phones. You remember the 3 phones that Nick McClellan and Gull won't let into the trial. So these 3 phones are frantically around the area. You got Derek German at Wilson Bridge, and within an hour, the freak out begins.
You got all kinds of people and everything. Yeah, and how did they miss these bodies if supposedly they were already there, you know, unalived?
They would never miss the bodies. Never.
Yeah.
Think about this, Noe. I mentioned this the other day, but I didn't do the math. Think of how many okay, if this story is true, right? If this story, this fantasy fairy tale story is true, if those girls are dead by 3:30, or let's say 3:15 to make things round.
Uh-huh.
Okay, they're not found the next day till 12:15. So let's start doing some math about how many hours of daylight that is. Let's be generous and say the sun went down at 7:15. I don't know what time the sun went down.
The sun probably went down in February around no later than 7. I would say more like 6:30 to 6, between 6:30 and 7. It's starting to get
Okay,
dark.
so let's give that, let's say from 3 to 7.
That's 3.5 hours.
7. So say 4. Let's say 4.
Let's say 4 hours.
Now let's say what time does the sun rise in February?
I'm gonna say upon after 7 a.m.
So let's say another 7. Make it round. You know, we can always go back and refine this math. But let's say the sun rises at 7. So you got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 9 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So even if we're exaggerating and we want to take the conservative, let's say 8 hours. So you're telling me those girls were laying down in broad daylight for 8 hours of daylight, plus the entire night with searchers going around with flashlights. And no one saw a thing with 8 hours of daylight and the overnight hours?
Yeah.
How do you think that?
Ron Logan said that he looked back there and that he saw all kinds of spotlights and flashlights in his backyard where people were still searching all night long. Remember? So the search, I mean, how many hours is that from 3:15 to 12:15 the next day? That's 3:12, 12, 19, almost 20 hours.
No way. It's just no way. I mean, this is how this does not make sense at all.
Yeah,
it never will.
20 hours. The body's laid there for 20 hours.
Thank you so much, Gianna and Tammy Martin. Look, at everyone's being generous, and I appreciate that. You guys are gonna push me to. I'm gonna fight hard for you guys. I can't even tell you what happened today. We made a major accomplishment today, but I can't talk about it yet. But thank you so much, and thanks. I want to thank Four Pits. Four Pits and I, we made a major stride today. So we'll be talking about that at some point. Thank you so much, Tammy.
Yeah, I want to say thank you as well for the prof, because I talked to the prof quite a bit, and yeah, I'm sure he appreciates any kind of support. He does a lot of work, man. It's crazy.
Man, this chat is going so fast I can't keep up. I'm going to try to speed up. Let's see.
Yeah, so I left off with 20 hours. Those, you know, the poor girls were laying there, and it just doesn't make sense. No way.
Doesn't make sense at all. I'm sorry. I mean, look, as much as I wish it all made sense. See, people think that we're mean, or we're what are the words that have been thrown around? You know, like
family.
Yeah, I mean, do you think the objective is that we want to be angry about shit that's not reality? Is that what you think? Like we want all of this to just be settled and over and done with and sensible.
I mean, what's wrong with wanting the truth?
How do you have girls sitting out there from, let's say, if this theory of the crime is correct, which we know it's not, it can't be, from 3:15 or 3:30 until 12 noon the next day, with hundreds of people searching, including an entire family, and hunters and sheriffs and volunteer firemen, emergency workers? No one. You have You have a perch over at the Weber's property across the creek that looks right down onto the crime scene.
Mm-hmm.
And we already calculated you have at least 8 hours of broad daylight.
And,
And
I've
one of
been
the
there.
girls is nude.
I've been there. Like I said, many times. And when you get up there, right before the ravine, when you got to go down the ravine and then back up, and then you're at Logan's. When you get up there, you can see clear, especially with no without the leaves. You can see clear into that staging scene. That, you know. And are you gonna tell me that none of the searchers or the family or whoever came out to help look for the girls, they didn't walk in that direction?
There's
They
no way. I mean, that's the thing I was saying the other day, and many times, Noe, is when you're going onto the high bridge, all you have to do is split off to the left, and
Yeah,
that trail goes where, Noe?
that trail goes straight to the ravine, which the ravine is right there. And right when you get to the ravine, you're way up high. The creek is way down low, and if you look straight ahead, you can see Ron Logan's property, which is just feet away from the barbed wire fence and feet away from where they were found. How could you not have seen the girls from right up there?
I mean, how would you not have walked right to the girls?
Exactly.
If you're going to go along that creek bank, which you would figure you might go through Ron's and at least for half a mile just to kind of check out several hundred yards. Remember Eric Williams saying it was 1,000 yards back. Remember that quote? I guess I can pull that up to read for you guys. He's talking about where all the bones and shit and the weird shit was. See if I can find it. It's not the easiest to find because Eric Williams is his texts are all over the place in my folders, but he says it's 1,000 yards back. He also says it's a cover up. It was the girls walking in on a meth lab being ran by the local by the local cops and criminal informants, and one of them snapped and shit went crazy, who I think is Garrett Kurtz, but that's me. Well, I'm not going to waste any time trying to find it, but he says it's back like 1,000 yards back there. That means he at least went that far. Thank you, Truth Seeker, for becoming a member. I don't understand why so many searchers looking for the girls so fast. Where I'm from, it would be at least a day. That's another thing.
And I can't be careless to ignore the fact that there's been very good sources who say that they already knew that the girls were unalived by 7 a.m.
Who? Say that again?
There are sources, which I'm not going to name, very credible sources who found out and knew that the girls were dead by between 7 and 9 a.m. on the 14th. The family knew. So what happened between 7 or 9 a.m. until 12:15 when they were discovered? You know what I'm talking about, Prof.
Yeah, that if they're discovered I mentioned this last show. Someone would have to be insane to think that when all those all those pings came through at 5:33 a.m. Are you telling me AT&T is pinging every 15 minutes, and suddenly at 5:33 a.m. a flood of them actually hit? You're telling me AT&T wouldn't immediately notify law enforcement so that at least by 6:30 a.m. law enforcement is there on top of that phone? It doesn't add up. I think someone turned that phone on at 5:30 a.m. to cause a beacon to allow people to find the girls, which would have been sunrise. So as soon as the sun's up, they want the girls found. So boom, boom, boom. So were the girls found at sunup?
Yeah, but they weren't reported found until 12:15.
I'm not talking about reported. I'm saying were the girls found at sunup?
Yeah.
We know when they were reported.
Right.
Which none of it makes sense.
I was recently. I was on a chat about a week ago or so, and I made a comment about that, and another person on that chat. It was on a different channel here on YouTube. Came jumping at me and accusing or telling me that whoever told me that was a lie, and they were very aggressive. It was CJK.
Well, that's the trolls.
Yeah.
Trolls are going to always do that, but
immediately.
But what we know,
and I mean, I was respectful. I didn't say anything. I didn't
we
accuse
had
anybody. I didn't name anybody. I just said, what's up with this during this portion of the day on the 14th. Okay, he came swinging. That's a lie. Whoever told you that is okay. Sure, but
well, when they say lie, 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 you know that you're telling the truth.
and we're not gonna stop talking about it, right, Prof?
We haven't, have we?
No, we're not.
But that's what I'm saying. It doesn't add up. Okay, so you got family and family friends saying girls are found in a cabin, girls are found in a shack, girls are found in a shed. Explain that one. You see, all of these questions have answers. We just don't know the answers. Because the explanations given, lie, it never happened, that don't work. That doesn't work. Girls were not there, says Kathy. Well, that's what one would lead one to believe. What is the proof of life? That's another thing, because remember, the Snapchat ain't on Libby's phone, quote unquote, the phone found under Abby. It would lead you to believe that everything's a lie. Everything. And that's what a lot of people thought from the very beginning.
Yeah. And to think that all of this is allegedly, supposedly coming to trial here within weeks.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't know. This is, man, look, you know how many hours? I was thinking the other day about the human energy that has gone into figuring this out. Think of the millions of hours that people have thought about this, screenshot about this, researched about this, discussed this, shared this, text this.
Gone out to the scene and
the boots on the ground. You've got thousands of people for 7 years. Unbelievable. Not to mention all the investigation. How many hours have gone into this, and we're still no further ahead?
And we can't figure out the truth. The truth is hidden, and the BS, the bullshit story that is gonna be presented in court here within a few days. It's just,
it's 6 feet deep. You can drown. Yeah.
It's like, wow, man. Oh, Indiana for you. There you are. But this time, how many cases since I've been here 25 years in the state of Indiana, I've seen similar stuff at a smaller level. But this time, this case is huge. This case is nationwide, worldwide, and they're still doing it, man. You know, they're still sweeping it under the rug. No shame.
Well, we just showed, I mean, my last show called The Unacceptable. I mean, that's what it was all about. That's not 7 years ago. We were talking about what's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the search being called off because it's dangerous. It's fucking Yellowstone. It's the Grand Canyon. Come on, get out of here. That's the excuse Nick McClelland. I want to blaze Nick McClelland's ass right now because it's so immature. The objections that are going on, because everything the defense asked for, McClelland gaslight. So the defense asked to bring the jury out. Okay, do you know? Let me read you some of the stupidest excuses in the world that Nick McClelland is coming up with to ask the judge, which he will be given, to deny that request. Bro, you're not you're not going to believe what you're. I know you haven't heard this yet, so let me just, and maybe the listeners haven't. I'm not into posting the court documents that much anymore because you guys are grown folks. You can find them. But listen to this, okay? Listen to this objection. A, the terrain where the bodies were found is very difficult to traverse and would be dangerous for the jury. B, traveling to where the bodies were found and the opposite end of the high bridge would involve encroaching on two private landowners' property. Oh, like everyone and their mother doesn't trespass on those two properties. But when it actually matters, you're going to cite that as a reason to not allow justice for the two fucking victims? Do you not think that Kay Weber and Ryan Logan would not allow the jury to traverse their property for 30 minutes?
Yeah,
C,
that's
it would require a substantial amount of time and resources.
shut up.
Oh, so it's going to take time and more money. How many millions have you already spent? Why does that matter? Gas for a van?
Yeah, you waited 6 years to take this to trial and make an arrest, and now you're gonna worry about a half a day or something.
And look at this one. This is the most insane one of all. This is the one that'll make you bang your head into a brick wall. The areas D, where the areas of where the bodies were found along with the site of the old CPS building are substantially different from the time the crimes occurred. What? It's the same place, McClelland. Ron Logan's is the same. The only thing missing at CPS is the building. That lot is still there. That road is still there. Those trails are still there. That bridge is still there. That creek is still there. You've got to be fucking kidding me with these people. So that's why the jury can't go see how ridiculous this theory is from the prosecution. I mean, it's infuriating, dude. That's why I get upset at times.
Well, you said it. You said it. It's immature. It's rookie, man. It's yeah.
I mean,
Stupid.
so you've deleted 70 days of investigation and interviews. You don't have any of the family's digital forensics necessary. You've lost evidence. You've lost the marathon footage. You've lied, obscured, lied on the PCA. You forced the witnesses to produce sketches. You forced Rayleigh Voorhees to say that she saw one sketch when she didn't, and then when she refused to go with that fucking scam, you called her unreliable, and now you won't let the geofencing of the 3 phones that were there when you say this is happening. You said the 2 sketches are 2 different people, but now all of a sudden they're one. Just how many things you've turned a 65 Comet into a 2000 whatever Ford Focus? How many things do you have to fucking lie, straight up, delete, steal, disappear, harass to make this go your way? It's that's why people are angry. People don't like being lied to. Sorry, Noe. I know I got a little carried away, but
It's okay, Prof.
let me get back to the chat. Jesus Christ, man, it's just too much to bear, dude. We dedicated years of our life to this, and it's these type of gaslights. It's just,
Yeah,
I hate the word. I don't even want to say the word. Truth Seeker says, heard the same thing. They were supposed to have been found around 9 a.m. and had only been dead. Remember this one I said last time. I've said the girls had been found so immediately after the crime. Well, what the fuck does that mean? 19 hours? Immediately? Or does it mean 19 minutes? What does immediately after the crime mean, Robert Ives?
This artist, formerly known as SS, enough with the jetty mind tricks. And you know, you got a whole group of YouTubers who are playing around with this jetty mind tricks and push that narrative nonstop. You know, like, I think that's odd that you have these people who claim like, oh no, I don't, you know, no dog on the race, but you're pushing this like from Texas, from local YouTubers, and it doesn't make sense to me. It's like, why are you pushing this narrative? Oh, it happened between 3 and 4, and that's no more.
Look, Digital says Erskine said on a live that they were found much earlier, and what he observed was nothing like what is now being discussed. Where did he say that, Digital? Can you dig that up and let me know? You see what I mean? And look at this one. J. Kyle Keener posted on the 13th that the girls had been murdered. Yeah, and remember Eric Williams said the victims on the 13th when he was searching.
Kevin Rawalski, where are the search party members that claim they were at the crime scene at 6 p.m. Nobody's there? Yeah, where are they? Why don't they come out and
What's up, Phoenix here? What up, Phoenix? Everyone who's come in. Sorry I didn't greet you guys, but you know we say hello. But welcome everyone who's come in. We appreciate you here. Please enjoy the chat. We're enjoying it. But let's see. Oh yeah, there you go. Is a God thing says it's an unbelievable amount of collective thinking and gathering. Yeah, think of how many thousands, millions of hours. Prof, absolutely. Personally, I've researched days in background checks and digging up records. I had to stop a while because it's too. Yeah, me too. All day, every day. All day, every day. No, he knows it.
fact?
It's a new day says nonstop. Yeah, that's how we are, because we over here in this community, most of the Delphi community gives a fuck about this crime. They obsess over it night and day. Most of them. There's only a few who are just totally FOS. And the real killers are still laughing their asses off. Yeah, I think so. When Little Frank interviewed Erskine said the girls were found before daybreak. Damn, I missed that interview.
She said Little Frank?
Yeah, Little Frankie.
Oh, wow.
So Little Frankie interviewed Erskine, and he said that.
Oh, yeah, he did. You're
well,
right.
See, there you go then. Problem solved. Game over.
No, I do remember him interviewing Erskine, but I didn't.
Look, of course they found him at daybreak. Listen, 5:33, the phone starts pinging like a fucking alarm clock. You don't think law enforcement's going to know very soon thereafter and direct them to go to that area, to Ron Logan's property? Come on, it's common sense. They chose to not announce it until noon.
Until 12:15, exactly. That's the first line. or maybe one of the first lies.
One of the first, yeah. Maybe the first lie is who and when they were dropped off, allegedly.
Or yeah, you could go
Keener
for
said he photographed the crime scene, so if he posted that on the 13th, then it wouldn't make sense. Then it would make sense it was photographed in the dark. Yeah, it appears to be photographed in the dark. I agree. Defense is doing the job. No. Defense and some of us are doing the jobs of law enforcement. Yes. The jury wouldn't even need to go down the hill. They can see it from the backyard of the Weber house. There you go. Boom.
Yeah, that's another good point there for Mr. Slick Nick. They can simply take the jury down the trails, cut left before the high bridge, and take them just to the top, just to the ravine.
Or they could take them just to Weber's and say, look, down there, that's where the girls were found. They can go and put like a target or a circle of
yeah.
They can say, look, the girls were found right there. So
If
you see them for 7 hours or 6 or 8 of daylight, wouldn't you see them?
20 hours they were there.
They were there for 20 hours right there and no one saw them. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, take them to the ravine and then look down there. You see that area over there? Because you can clearly see it. That's where they were found. Now, you
is coming in with an amazing point. Yeah, it's a crime scene. How the property fucking owner feels about it is irrelevant. Yeah, he's out of his fucking mind. He's reaching. Thank you, Michelle. And you don't know how much that means. We're trying to survive over here, and Prophets had a difficult 6 months. Okay, but $20 Canadian. But yeah, it's a crime scene. You bring them to Weber's and you say, look down there. That's where the girls were for 20 hours.
Yeah, that defense team, they better push for the jury go see the area. Because they don't have to go down the ravine and up and jump over the barbed wire fence and none of that. All they got to do is walk up to the ravine and look down. And you can see everything. And then that's going to make the jury really think, how could one person do all this? And they can take them around
do all of this
to Weber's property and take them to the south side of the bridge. Okay, it's McLean. That's just careless, irresponsible.
2 ears, 1 mouth has a good point here. Nick doesn't want the jury to know how ludicrous it is that Rick Allen did this all in an hour. No, didn't we time it to like 18 minutes when the phone drops? 18, 19 minutes and the phone drops, which you would expect he assaults them immediately. In less than an hour, more like 30 minutes or less, you expect that all that happened, and you expect he did it in broad daylight, and you expect no one else was out there when we know there were others out there? That's why he needs the geofencing out? I mean, dude, it's as if they expect kindergartners to get on the stand. I mean, in the jury box, they expect the jury to be full of kindergartners, and they're going to believe all this shit.
The I put down the 215 to 232.
I mean, dude, it almost makes you want to cry. I mean, I sometimes, like just now, I just choked up a little because the frustration, it almost chokes you up at times. Not often, but every once in a while, I just get like, I'm fucking done. You know when a kid is tired, they need a nap, and they just start crying for no reason. You're like, what's wrong? Oh, I'm just tired. I need to go rest. That's how I feel. And the thing about this chat, everything people are putting up, it's just absolute facts. I mean, I'm not seeing many rumors or lies in all this. This chat is fucking brilliant. You guys know the case.
Yeah, man. They're all good.
I mean, it's funny because even Joe doesn't know the case that well. Master Trooper Joe, he doesn't sit here and study the case and obsess in text messages and conversations and watching YouTube videos every day. Joe only knows what he personally has done, basically. He's not a fan of Delphi. But even people who don't know the case, like most of you, that like people know that there's just 25 years or whatever in the state police. You think he doesn't know? Like, Noe, would you tell the story real quick about when you guys went out there and how he zeroed in on that target practice and how his instincts were really apparent?
Yeah, we walked down that path from the gravel parking lot right before Wilson's Bridge, and well, I had my camera. I was, filming and entertained with the camera. Joe was looking at everything. He was turning stones over and kicking things out of the way. And I mean, I learned a lot from Joe that day. I would have missed the target range, but no, he was just like looking at everything, touching trees, observing the area. And I was amazed why I understood why he had to have been a real good law enforcement officer, because what I witnessed from Joe that day, it was like, oh, the shirts. Another thing, when we found the shirts, it was a box. He went straight to the box, turned it over, and a bunch of clothes come out flying. I would have never done something like that. So skilled, trained, very, very alert, very alert. I was amazed with the way he was carrying himself compared to me. I was like holding onto a camera and looking at the oh my God, I can't speak now. The panoramic views and the trees and stuff. And while he was like really like putting his hands on things, turning them over, he spotted that target shooting, immediately found the bullets or the shells, and picked up shells, pocketed some. And I mean, like a true investigator. I was amazed. And every trip that we've made to the area, that's what he does. He looks at everything. I mean, certainly has the
Got an instinct, and even the fact that he took some of those shirts home or whatever. I didn't know he did that.
yeah, we grabbed one. Yeah.
At least it's in safekeeping. It's like it was the same with the earrings. It's like, why is it up to the public to do the job of the investigators? Yeah, no, yeah.
I know, man. Stressing and frustration, but
It's Friday. We're supposed to be celebrating it, and it is a celebration. But gosh, it's just the discussion is it's anxious. It's anxiety causing. But wow, man, the chat. I'm so glad to have this chat the way that we do. I mentioned to you guys when I formed this channel in the very beginning that my intention was to have an open discussion with the chat, basically a home base for the chat, to have people who are like-minded, to have a place to discuss, and for me to discuss with them, like in terms of a talk show. And I sort of modified that in the past 6 months to having guests periodically. But I feel so accomplished and so glad that it's turned out the way that I envisioned, that the chat is a fertile stomping ground for people to discuss and have interesting talks here, and to give us food for thought. So thank you so much, chat, for what you're doing.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Cromley. panoramic was the word I couldn't spit out. Sorry, my language barrier kicked in. But yeah, I was into the panoramic views while Joe was turning every leaf, every stone. Yeah. I just caught Cromley there helping me out a little. Sandy D, if you want to highlight Sandy D.
Just read it. Just read it.
Okay.
She's into numerology. That's what she's going over all of it.
Okay. Well then, yeah.
Please read it because I'm trying to catch up with the chat here.
Sandy D, Heathens 257, Monon Hybrids 257, Pineal Gland 257, Gradient Club, and Foundation 257. Donation, Alphonse Francios 257, died at 80 years old 257. Let today be the day, 80 Astur 80, 3%ers 80, Heathens 80.
Yeah, and if you guys also know, I don't know how many of you may or may not have watched Scott. He's over at Scott2296. Scott2296 has some very interesting food for thought as well. So you could possibly take Sandy's work and Scott2296 and start to put some of that all together into one cohesive whole. I think you'll have a little picture of what we're feeling is an aspect of an overarching view of some of this. Keep doing what you're doing. Send in all tips. No tips are bad. Ongoing investigation. Yes, keep doing it. And I told you guys, without hesitation, I tip into state police as well as defense. Okay? Because there's no excuse when you do it that way. I have faith that we will see this through. I love you all and everything you do for Abby and Libby and the community we love. Even my little prof loves Abby Libby. He has their picture. The dogs would have proven the escape route, murder scene, other movements, and parties. It's convenient that they were not used. Well, one was used, but the one that was used was under the control of sheriff's office. That's right. They didn't want no outside dogs there. You got to wrap your mind around that one.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up earlier. I forgot.
Bless you. I appreciate what you do. Thank you. I have Apophis says, thanks, Prof. Noe and Pitbull. That's for the Creek video. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, I says Scott 2296 is very intelligent. I agree. I think if we what's the word? Put all the work together, you start to have a glimpse of maybe some sort of larger plan here, but who knows? Who knows?
Well, Alex Voorhees has great insight into all that. The greater, what does he call it?
Well, he's in agreement that we're looking at a criminal underworld or a larger group of people, not just Rick Allen.
The UFO theory or whatever.
All right. So who else we got in here? Let's see. Tammy says, I wouldn't be so sure about that. The feds have been busy lately. Way too many unconstitutional decisions are being thrown down around this case. Well, I agree with that. That's why we do what we do. Now, listen. People can say the Constitution is irrelevant or whatever they want to say. Well, they can get the fuck out. Because the United States of America, what's made it what it is and was the Constitution and will be the Constitution. And part of the privileges we have is that the Constitution provides us protections from this sort of thing. It's the reason why it was established. Hello. And so it's imperative that the feds be not only watching what's going down with the prosecution of Richard Allen, but also what's transpiring here in social media with the troll farm, the trolls, the stalking, the threats, the harassment, the cyber crimes, and also the greater crimes and the ones pulling the strings all the way on up to the top, however far that top might go. So they have a directive to be taking a close look at this, and let's just hope and pray that they are. Tammy seems to be sure about it. Cromley says, I watched one of Scott's vids today. The interview with Kelsey, she mentioned something about a note being left at the trail, spoken like a true geocacher. Prof, do you know anything about injunction being filed to block cell data dumps? No, I don't, but sounds right. I mean, please elaborate. Everyone knows that my email address is publicly known. So if you ever want to send me anything, it's profcontact@gmail.com. Feel free to send things. I receive things all day, every day, and some things bear fruit and some don't.
Sandy D, I'm sorry. Sandy Fouts canceled court that day and refused to speak with Ellie. Dick Red Shirt.
Yeah, but don't be so certain about Jalen either, because we don't know the extent of her involvement in all of this or not. So pray for the jurors that they have discernment. Thank you. Yeah, everyone, while you're here, please hit the like. Please hit that like. Please hit the like, y'all. Hit the like. I left this part out. If you're on the replay, please, please, please leave a comment. Just like I mentioned that the conversation with the chat is the focus of this channel, you best be guaranteed that the comment section is part of that. So guarantee you, if you leave a comment, I will read it, I will love it, and I will probably reply, or at the very least, screenshot it for future consideration. I've gotten so much value from the chat and the comment section and things that I've looked into that have borne fruit. So please continue to engage in the comments. And I know that the community loves that. Okay. All right.
Well, yeah, Prof. I think I'm gonna start wrapping it out. Work my way out. I want to thank Joe for coming back, and like I said when he was still on, for just a great friend, mentor, sponsor, person to talk to. I sure miss him. He's busy, but I'm sure that he'll be around if I need him. A phone call. I want to thank him a lot for being here and sharing his thoughts and his story. I want to thank everybody in the chat. Our main friends like the Pitbull, the Sandy, Carol, all of you guys who support the Prof. You see, I've stuck around with the Prof here because I know that the Prof has a good heart. We talk a lot, man. I talk to little Prof. He shares things about his life with me, and I know that Prof's a good guy, and that's why I've stuck around with him. And another one, Kishti, even though Kishti in Ireland, who's not lately hasn't been very active in the case, but he's another guy with a great heart. And we're going to be working with Kishti as well here very soon. I made some arrangements, and we're going to talk to him soon, and we're going to hopefully to reach a larger audience as well. His audience in Ireland and around the world. And Prof, thanks for letting me in while Joe was still on the show, giving me the opportunity to say hi to Joe. And we're not going to quit. We're going to keep going, and we're going to do it with a little change of direction because trial's getting closer, and we are anything and everything that had to be said or done with that group of people, the troll farm. I think we've done it all. So now we just want to concentrate on what really matters, which is the girls.
Well, and I want to say about Joe, just so the people understand his heart and his dedication or conviction about the case. All it took is a single phone call to Joe, and to say, "Hey, Joe, how you doing? Would you mind coming on and telling the people your story again?" And that's all it took. And Joe came, and he was very excited, enthusiastic, and helpful and gracious. And so that's what I want to say. And again, thank you, Joe, for that. And I know that everyone here, especially those who hadn't heard or seen Joe before, will appreciate that. And for all of you who are interested in the paranormal interest that Joe has, as I mentioned, this in the video section here from the past 6 months or year, we have several videos revolving around Joe's not only his theory but his interaction with the spiritual side. So if you dig into the channel history, you can find some more of Joe, and hopefully he'll be back. Maybe once elections are over, he'll be back, and we'll have him back and you know chop it up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, Prof, I'm gonna exit out. I'm gonna let you do your thing here and close your show. But I want to thank you again. Thank Joe, and thank the chat.
All right, Noe. Thank you for coming, Noe.
Have a good night, man.
It's like family. All right, bye-bye.
Say hi to little Prof. Good night, little Prof, as well.
Certainly will. Oops. Awesome. Good night, Noe. Thanks for coming again. Let's see. I'll tell you in the same way. There will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who need no repentance. I have a prophet says, I didn't catch the first part of the show. I need to go back and watch Master Trooper Joe. It's enjoyable. You'll enjoy it. 4 Pits was still in the chat. I'm curious if there are several sets of twins in Delphi. Yeah, we asked that question, but we didn't really find a good answer. The answer was kind of no. But I'll remember to ask him about that specifically. Lisa, all right. Thanks, Noe. Thanks, Noe. Everyone, please thank Noe on the way out. Thanks, Rebecca. All right. Thanks, Noe. Always a pleasure. Thanks, sharing, says Margaret. Noe, have a good one, says Chevy Killer. You guys are awesome. Thank Noe. They had a bus they traveled. They sang about little girls. The FBI shut them down saying they're a gang. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, we're dealing with a criminal underworld here. Understand it. That's where Alex and I are in complete agreement about this crime. Okay, Sandy, Kelsey, and Bree look an awful lot. Sandy. Kelsey and Bree look like Libby Nevi. It's true, but who knows? Because she doesn't say she saw Libby Nevi. Okay. Actually, all of the witnesses are problematic, and a huge announcement for you guys. Speaking of that, because this is somewhere where he shines. Skip Jansen's going to be on the show next week, and we're going to be discussing all of this in regards to the witnesses, because I think there's a lot of confusion about these witnesses, how solid it is, what they've said over the years, how things conflict, how things were done, how things change, the timeline of how things change. And that is literally Skip's area of expertise in this crime or in this subject. So we'll be having Skip on. So be looking out for that next week. And Skip will be we will be deep diving. Do you know how we do it? When we decide to deep dive, we deep dive. And we will be deep diving into every aspect of this whole story of the past 7 years. Okay. And at the center of that are the witnesses. So that should be a treat for everyone and very, very informative. And I think you will walk away shocked because it's shocking. And yeah, you're right, Nancy Drew. Now, in that manner, you are correct. So not biological twins, but this whole crime, see, that's part of the disinformation, smoke, and mirrors. This whole crime is rife with twins, for instance, named twins. Okay? So many named twins. And we'll be going over some of that with Skip, actually. Just pretty relevant that you mentioned that. Yeah. Good, but thanks for the reminder. And then you have other twins. For instance, twin bridges. Okay, you have High Bridge, but then you have Wilson Bridge. Okay. Look at how many shacks you have out there. Look at the story of the shack. That's something that's worth mentioning here. I would like you guys to consider for a fact a little something interesting. Let me have my bullet points here. And I want to say it in a way that will enable you to understand it very clearly. So, let's see. So to close, I might as well do this, and because this you will find a very interesting closing moment. Okay, so basically we're talking about this. Since we're talking about dual meanings and this sort of thing, and rhymes, it's sort of like rhymes. Okay. The Shack. In the movie The Shack, which Doug Carter famously referenced, a cave plays a special role. Now, you may find this interesting because I'm highly attached to the shack. You know that one of the things the Patty family did not want us discussing out here is the shack and Derek and Cody. And but anyway, in the movie The Shack, a cave plays a special role. Max spends his time with each member of the Trinity, helping Jesus build a wooden box and preparing the garden with the Holy Spirit. Papa, now in the form of an elderly Native American man, leads Mac to Missy's body, which they retrieve from a cave and prepare for burial. Remember I speculated that the cave is the culvert at Wilson? And I speculated that that's where Abby was injured and or murdered. What if Abby was placed in that cave overnight until it was time to retrieve her and prepare her for burial, which oddly enough is how she's staged. Clothes for burial in a very respectful position. They lay Missy to rest in the garden. During this process, Mac is given a glimpse of Missy in heaven playing joyfully with Jesus and other children, though he's unable to join her. Mac encounters Sophia, the personification of God's wisdom, in another cave. Also, we've all remarked how weird it is that the searchers didn't find the girls on 213. But isn't it weird that they also didn't find them until afternoon on the 14th? Consider also that on Deer Creek, there's a shack belonging to the Alting family that looks right down on Wilson's cave. Just like I speculate that at Wilson Bridge, there was a shack that looked right on over to the culvert, which we call the cave. How does the shack and the cave play in? How do Derek and Cody play into this? So many answers they will be found. But yeah, there's duality indeed. And that's what I'm referencing here with the shack reference. Because if Doug Carter is referencing the retrieval of a body from a cave and being laid to rest in a garden in reference to a shack, is that why he referenced it? Is that what happened to one or both of these girls? Lots of morticians as well, yes, exactly, and drug dealers. I mean, meth. It's one of the confirmations we got today is that, it has been rumored that it was a place to cook meth out there. Well, even all the way near Wilson Bridge, not just at Ron Logan's property. Yes. So put that in your pipe and smoke it, and there will be more on that. So anyway, okay, so I will see you guys later. Thank you so much for hanging out for a Friday evening hangout, Friday night party. Really appreciate it, and please again thank retired Master Trooper Joe for the visit and the information he shared with us, his insights, his opinions. Greatly appreciated. If you're interested in more of his take on all that, like I said, dig into the channel. Please hit the like on the way out. If you're on the replay, please consider supporting the channel with a super chat, a super thanks, or any super comment, any sort of super like, any super, be super. And so thank you very much. And thank all of you in the chat. I really enjoyed it. I hope that you have a wonderful Friday night and a wonderful weekend. Really appreciate you being here. And thank you for watching the other streams. And as always, love those that you love. Show them you love them. Hug your kids, hug your wife, have some dinners. I want to thank Mr. Joe Lewis in particular for the very kind gesture he sent my way, and the kind letter he wrote me. So I'll be spending tomorrow, having a special date with my little guy, showing him I love him, and doing what he enjoys the most with his dad. So I will be seeing you in a couple days, hopefully, and we'll have some more to talk about. But until then, please leave a comment down below on the replay, and thank each other in the chat on the way out. I'm so glad that you talk to each other and you appreciate each other. So thank you so much for that. Tonight was fascinating. Thank you for another amazing show. Always leave with more knowledge, less confusion. That's the objective. Thank you so much. That's why we come on. Lots of fish. Exactly. Buying fish, catfishing, fish McCain's, fish. Fish is a term. And if you watch the Joe Spirit Box, it mentions fish. Yeah. So thank you all so much. God bless. God bless Heather Brown. God bless Ashley, Margaret. God bless I Have a Apophis. God bless Noe and Chevy Killer. Thank you, dude, for being here. God bless. Thanks, Prof. Noe and Joe. And thanks to all of you. Hey, Amy, if you're still here, or some mod, just please leave the support pathways in the chat on the way out, and I will join you in the chat in about 1 minute. Okay, let's see who we have here. Sandy D. Thank you. Love you, Kate. Love your people and your neighbors, and forgive your adversaries. Yes, as long as they accept accountability. That's what forgiveness is about. Prof, you've taken your lives to a whole new level. They've been on fire. Your work is greatly appreciated. Thank you. Noe and Trooper Joe. Thank you. Yes, blessings to you. You guys are awesome. I'll see you in the chat in 5 minutes. I'm getting out of here. All right. Stephen King is from Indiana. I did not know that. I'm a moron. Thank you. Okay. Good night, everyone. All right. So thanks. I'll see you guys later. All right. All right. Happy Friday. Happy Saturday. We'll see you next week. It's a beautiful, beautiful time of year, isn't it? So have a great weekend. All right. And we're done.